We're going to start in Psalms 128. We're going to read it together. If y'all could please share it on your social media sites. We share it on Facebook. Yeah, Psalms 128. We're going to read that together.
I sit at the feet of kings in the morning, in the dawn of my rise. It comes with the blessed and most learning, leaders, godly and wise. Just imagine sitting in the council of righteous kings. Thousands of years condensed in a written testament. Yo, sing a song of a rejoicing man. Yeah, hallelujah. The amazing grace has swept over the land. Hallelujah. Sing a song of a rejoicing man. Yeah, hallelujah. The Messiah in woman and man. Hallelujah. Now understanding that which was not known. Thought it was me, but there were angels all around. The more I learn, I see how much I don't really know. Came into my life and shake the negative down. Blessing me with strength when my weakness is above. These angels are real people like man I know. The offerings of the righteous are God's inspired words. So I give unto thee thanks and praises. Sing a song of a rejoicing man. Yeah, hallelujah. An amazing grace has swept over the land. Hallelujah. Sing a song of a rejoicing man. Yeah, hallelujah. The Messiah in woman and man. Hallelujah. And some we sing with joy. Counting my blessings, yeah. One way is life, no blood. Full grace, full deliverance can be our destiny. For in this life we find, beginning of which is the Almighty, yeah. A blessing for all mankind. A proverbial stars, pray for all we to see. Sing a song of a rejoicing man. Yeah, hallelujah. An amazing grace has swept over the land. Hallelujah. Sing a song of a rejoicing man. Yeah, hallelujah. The Messiah in woman and man.
Here we go. All praises to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, let's lift those high vibrations up to the Most High, man.
Hallelujah.
Let's give it a round of applause, man. We're in the holy day season, man. The season has changed. The hour is changing. The spirit is changing amongst our people. And I truly believe that the Most High is starting to place it in our hearts that we got to get back to family structure, man. Back to the so-called black man being in his rightful place as the head, the Lord of his house. The so-called black woman being that helpmeet, that pillar of rest for a black man in this cruel world, right? And our children are starting to really want to understand the knowledge of who we are. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want to say, call your da, Yaquah Ba'Shem Yehoshua HaMashiach, Ba'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. And we give all praises and we give honor to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. We also give double honors to the elders and our elders, starting with Elder Thomas Murray, Elder Asa, Elder Radiah, as we all from the house of Radiah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And so we give honor and reference to all elders, camps, congregations, and assemblies scattered abroad, United States and any other part of the world that's teaching in sincerity and in truth and really bringing the sheep back to his pasture. And so as we come back on another series of family structure, this will be a message directed towards the daughters of Zion in respects of getting back in place and getting back to the natural way that the Father has created you to be. And so before we get started, we want to stand up and face Jerusalem, pray to the Most High and His anointed Son, HaMashiach. So we'll start in Psalms 128. Everybody rise. Time and tribulation, through joy and praise and blessings, we count everything all joy. Hallelujah!
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 Now we all do it. Hallelujah.
Blessed is everyone that feareth Yahweh,
Count it all joy.
that walketh in his ways.
Count it all joy.
For thou shalt eat the labor of thy hands.
Count it all joy.
Happy shalt thou be,
Count it all joy.
and it shall be well with thee.
Count it all joy.
Thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the side of thine house.
Count it all joy.
Thy children like olive plants round about thy table.
Count it all joy.
Behold, that shall the man be blessed that feareth Yahweh.
Count it all joy.
Yahweh shall bless thee out of Zion.
Count it all joy.
And thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life.
Count it all joy.
Yea, thou shalt see thy children's children, and shalom upon Israel.
Count it all joy.
Hallelujah!
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 Yahweh!
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 And now we say the Lord's Prayer in Ibri Lashon, in the Hebrew tongue. Repeat after me.
Abinu!
Abinu!
Sheba Shemaim!
Sheba Shemaim!
Yikodesh!
Yikodesh!
Shimka!
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 Tabo!
Tabo!
Makuteka!
Makuteka!
Yaseh!
Yaseh!
Rizonga!
Rizonga!
Keba Shemaim!
Keba Shemaim!
Gamba Arik!
Gamba Arik!
Teilanu!
Teilanu!
Edlekum!
Edlekum!
Zarkanu!
Zarkanu!
Hayom!
Hayom!
Umakal!
Umakal!
Lanu Ek!
Lenu Ek!
Kobutenu!
Kobutenu!
Demoshigan!
Demoshigan!
Enaknu!
Enaknu!
Makanu!
Makanu!
Legevi
Shema Yahuwah.
Shema Shalanu.
Shema Shalanu.
Tefila.
Tefila.
Shema Shalanu.
Shema Shalanu.
Tefila.
Tefila.
We praise you.
We praise you.
We bless you.
We bless you.
We give thanks.
We give thanks.
We give glory.
We give glory
to the Almighty.
to the Almighty.
The Ancient of Days.
The Ancient of Days.
The Ancient of Days.
The Ancient of Days.
The beginning.
The beginning.
And the end.
And the end.
The Aleph.
The Aleph.
And the Tav.
And the Tav.
Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We ask.
We ask
for forgiveness.
for forgiveness.
We ask.
We ask
for forgiveness.
for forgiveness.
We ask.
We ask
for the washing.
for the washing.
We ask.
We ask
for your word.
for your word.
We ask.
We ask
for your spirit.
for your spirit
on this earth.
on this earth.
In this world.
In this world.
We praise you.
We praise you.
Forgive us.
Forgive us
for our iniquities.
for our iniquities.
Forgive us.
Forgive us
for our sins.
for our sins.
Forgive us.
Forgive us
for our transgressions.
for our transgressions.
For we repent.
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 Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Remember the covenant.
The covenant
that you made.
that you made
With our forefathers.
with our forefathers. Abraham.
Yitzchak.
Yitzchak. Yaakov.
Remember us.
Remember us.
In this captivity.
In this captivity.
And deliver us.
And deliver us
from the evil one.
from the evil one.
Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Hallelujah.
God be spirits. God be spirits. Yahuwah Bahashimi Hoshua Mashiach. Elohim. Elyon. Hakadosh Israel. Elohim Shalai Nuabod Abraham Yitzchak and Yaakov. Vavakisha Yahuwah. Shema Shalai Tefila. Anak Nu Ohev. Atah. We love you, Father, for your mercy and your grace that you bestowed upon us on this given day. We thank you, Father, for giving us another Shabbat day to rest within you and oneness, Father. Thank you for bringing each and every individual amongst us, Father, who is in like spirits. And in hopes, Father, that through our prayer, our supplication and praise, that the children of Israel may be redeemed as a holy people, Father. That we may be saved from our iniquities. That we may be saved from our carnal thoughts and ways. And we bind up every principality caught up in wicked high places, casting down each and every filthy spirit, Father, that comes against the children of light. Let us remember ourselves in this captivity as you have prophesied through your children. And let us put away the old man, never returning back. Let us not, Father, be as the children who look back and complain and say, we remember what we did in Mizraim. But let us look forward towards the wilderness, Father, that we may be washed thoroughly from our iniquities, that we may put away all the idols, all the worship of evil ways,
Hallelujah.
and that the family may be redeemed again within you.
Yes.
Not as two minds, but as one, Father. For you said a man and a woman that come together become one flesh. So let it be so. And we pray for our family and our friends who are still caught up in the matrix of this world, that they may hear your call as the blowing of the trumpets in the wind, Father.
Hallelujah.
Calling them back, Father, to the house of Israel. And so as you send your prophets out on the street, as you send your teachers to teach your word, may they teach with the fruits of the Spirit, Father, and not caught up in their own ways. And if we are in error in anything that we have done as we have sanctified ourselves in you, then we repent. We repent for the murmuring. We repent from the backbiting. We repent, Father, for turning our backs on our own brothers and sisters. And we come to you, Father, with a full heart and a full mind. And so we pray, Father, that we have the faith of Abraham. We pray for the sturdiness of Jacob. Father, we pray for the works of the apostles. And let our boldness of this truth be as Paul. And let our woman, Father, be as sanctified as Sarah and Esther, Father. that the truth may be set free, and that the world may know that the children of Israel is back. And in your holy name, Father, we pray through your Son, your anointed one, our King, our Adonai, and our Messiah, Hoshua Mashiach. And the people say, Hallelujah.
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 Say
We thank you for your shalom, Yah. We thank you for your peace. Powerful, powerful, powerful. All we have is the fruit of our lips. We don't have no bullocks, we don't have no rams, we don't have no sheep. We don't have nothing else to sacrifice. Besides our bodies, all we have is our worship and our praise and our thanksgiving and our thanksgiving offerings. And so that must be done out of a pure heart, a consecrated heart, a cleansed heart, a restored heart. So I just wanted to just say this, that as we invite through prayer and supplication Yah into our presence, and as the shalom is here with us now, because we made way for the King, okay? By offering up our praise as a sweet savor. May it be like incense, a sweet incense. Hallelujah. So, with no further ado, I just wanted to recognize that and thanks. Give thanks for Warren Mika'EL giving us that ability to offer up that praise like that. So, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All praise to the Father, the Holy One of Israel, the one who commands and possesses all things on this earth. And so with that, he said, we want to offer up our prayers as a sweet incense. So what does this smoke represent? What does this smoke represent?
Prayer.
Prayer, right? What is it doing right now?
Cleansing.
It's cleansing. And so with that, before we open our mouth, we have to make sure that we are cleansed. Mm-hmm. And it starts within our mind. And you're petitioning to the Father with a firm conscience that you know what you're praying for. And that you're ready, if it's something you want to turn away from, that you're ready to do it. And so this is that type of message. That this message is going to get brought forth as a sweet incense, ready to turn away from anything that have steered us away from our righteous path. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And so this is a message for the daughters of Zion. Are you Esther or are you a Vashti? Are you Esther or are you a Vashti? And so we're going to go into the story of Esther. And we're going to do some comparison. This is not about a tearing down. This is about breaking down strongholds and building back up in righteousness. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And so, again, have open ears to hear and eyes to see the truth within where we err at as a people and individuals in our life. Okay? So I want to start with Sirach 26 and 1. Sirach chapter 26 and 1. Can somebody read Sirach chapter 26 and 1 for me?
Sirach chapter 26, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed is the man that hath a virtuous wife.
What does virtuous mean? Anybody, what does virtuous mean?
Purified. Pure.
That's what it means to be pure, right? It means to be thoroughly cleansed from anything and everything that goes against the structure of your culture and your God. Right? So it says to have this purifying wife. Let's keep going.
For the numbers of his days shall be doubled.
And that's powerful. It didn't say by his own works his life shall be doubled. But by the one who was called to be his helpmeet shall his life be doubled. And so let's look at this. One thing about a woman is you give her something, right? not only does she take it and create something, but she creates more than you ever have imagined. That's the willpower the Father has given our sisters. Right? And so, unfortunately, this system has turned that into self-will and not a selfless type of will. Because everybody has to serve in some way, shape, or form. For you to receive a blessing, you have to serve something higher than yourself. And so what is that? When we look at this culturalistic type of book, what is it that these individuals in these positions must serve higher than themselves to receive greater than what they are? Right? And so a gift to a man is his wife. That in purposes, she's going to double what the Father has already given him, if he's in a righteous state of mind. And so with that is something called a process and a thorough evaluation on who that may be. And only by way of scripture can we all tell this thing, right? A lot of us have been convinced that it's by looks that virtuousness comes. It's by looks that virtuousness has come. Because what the world has depicted to us through videos and social media, what that looks like. Right? Get you a bad B. Right? Get you a video vixen. This is what a real woman looks like. To who? To God or to Babylon? Right? And so this is where Hebrews have to stop thinking American and start thinking in the Hebraic thought process, even when it comes to choosing a mate. Right? Choosing a mate. And oftentimes in this society, we rush into things before actually evaluating them. Right? We have pretty much tainted everything when it comes to intimacy. Especially, you got children being fruitful. We have tainted it to, it means nothing. That is about the heart. Where you opening up a gate to your soul. So how does it not mean anything? And so with this woman who is virtuous, she has to be someone who understands purpose and the value within herself. By way of somebody raising her up in that way she should go. Let's keep reading.
A virtuous woman rejoices her husband.
Right.
And he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace.
And what?
In peace.
In peace. Do you think the so-called black man nowadays is getting that peace in his home?
No.
What's the two things that kill a black man?
Stress.
Stress and what?
Food.
Food. And both have to do with the household, because who feeds me?
The woman.
Come on. That's how important a woman's role is. That in some essence of a way, she has a structure on how healthy he's going to be. Spiritually and physically. Because if he was in righteous order, only way he could go is towards peace. Y'all follow me? Let's keep reading.
A good wife is a good portion.
Is a what?
Good portion.
Is a good portion. Come on.
Which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Adonai.
That fear the Adonai. So brothers, if you got a problem with your woman, what state of mind are you in? Because the Father said a good wife is going to be a good portion for a man that feared him. And this is where I said, this is a message to the daughter of Zion, but you got to start examining yourself. Why were you given this type of woman? It works both ways. Just like the word is a double-edged sword, right? So is a relationship. So is a relationship. Because your woman is a reflection of you. And you can say all that, well, I keep the law and she don't. But what was that discernment before you laid it? Where was that at? And so we have to consider that. Yeah, she may be all them things, but you had a decision, and you probably saw that before you did it. But because you were caught up by plain sight and view, you did it. Because all you was thinking about was the outer appearance and not what her spirit looks like. She can be very beautiful on the outside, but her spirit may be very dark. Because we have gone through trauma that we have not yet been able to talk about. That's why I said this is a touchy topic. A lot of our sisters don't want to talk about the problem within themselves because it's going to cause them to start removing skeletons that they continue to covet. We have to be able to identify the issue. If we keep trying to put it under the rug, it's going to keep coming back up. You understand? Let's keep reading.
Whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward the Adonai, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance.
With a cheerful countenance. You see how this verse comes after verse 1 through 3. This is the power. Let's be honest. This is the power sisters have when it comes to a relationship. She can either make or break a household. It's facts. Is that saying she has power over you? Not at all. But guess what? She is the manager of your house.
Say that again.
She is the manager of your house. So either when you leave the house, you still in this house, or when you leave this house, she is in this house. And if you're not taking the time to evaluate and assimilate a woman, it's going to be two individuals in the house rather than one. Did y'all catch that? Mm-hmm. Y'all follow me? If you don't assimilate a woman to the T, it will be two individuals in the house rather than one. We have to take the time to be able to refine ourselves on how the Father has made us to be. You understand? And so we're going to evaluate what type of state our sisters are in. Are we in a heathenistic state or a Hebraic state of mind when it comes to being a daughter of Zion? So let's read. We are Esther chapter 1. Esther chapter 1. We're going to start at verse 1. Esther chapter 1. Somebody read that for me?
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia over 107 provinces.
This is the rich king, right? Come on.
That in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty, many days, even 180 days, 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days. Mm-hmm. In the court of the garden of the king's palace. Scroll up. Where were white, green, and blue, hanging, fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue, and white and black and marble. Mm. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king.
So they about to have a party, right? They about to have a feast. They about to have a good time. And we know how brothers get. When they have a good time, what all brother want at the end of the night? He just want his woman. Right? He just want his woman. Man, whatever shape, form that is, but he want his woman. He want to feel that peace at the end. Because right now he's enjoying his wealth. He's enjoying the fruits of his labor. And majority of men, when they want to enjoy their fruits of labor, who they want to enjoy it with? Their wife. Because she's the one who helped build that up. She's the one who helped mold that into where it needs to go. And so that's how we gravitate toward our woman, because we want to give you, right, that kudos for what you helped us with, right? And so now the king is he's going to go, he's planning this big feast, and now he's going to try to go see where his wife is at. Come on.
And the drinking was according to the law.
Right.
None did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Every man's pleasure. Come on.
Also Vashti,
yep.
The queen made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King
Stop right there. What's wrong with this picture?
She made her own feast.
What she do?
Make her own.
She made her own feast, right? Vashti made her own feast. Did the king do it? Did she get authorization to do it for herself? But not only did she make her own feast, but she did it in his place. Right?
Yeah, this was the classic case of you do it, I'm gonna do it too.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna compete with you.
Right. I need some shine too, right?
Right.
And see, that's the problem with, you know, a lot of our communities. And unfortunately, I get it. You know, we've been raised up in tainted relationships. But ultimately, the wife gets her praise through her husband. As you read through Proverbs 31, she gets her praise. As we're gonna go a little further than that, into that later on. But so that was the first red flag. She made her own plans and her own decisions. Does that not sound familiar? Colossians 3:18. Colossians, everybody can participate and read too. Colossians 3:18.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as it is fit in the Adonai.
As it is fit who?
In the Adonai.
No, it was the man's. His instructions as it is fit on how he had placed the order in the household. Come on.
Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them.
Start right there. Start right there. Wives, submit yourself unto your own husband as it is fit unto Adonai. Do you think Vashti submitted to her husband as the Adonai will have her see fit? Why not?
She overstepped his authority.
Overstepped his authority. And ultimately, that's how heathens roll. If you go into the history of how these heathens have set up their tribe and structure, that's how they roll. A king is a king, a queen is a queen, and go about their way. But that has never been a Hebraic cultural way. Ever. Ever. Even down to how the seed is how their pedigree is determined. Because in Hamitic tribes, the seed is determined by the mother. When in Shemitic tribes, it's determined by the father, his tribe. And so you see a difference on how we roll as a culture. And so we see a heathenistic cultural way of thinking. That she's going to create her own feast and do her own thing
In his house.
In his house without his authority. But the scriptures say, wives, submit yourself unto your husband as you would to Adonai. And so I always ask the question, and sisters can answer. Do you think you treat your husband or potential, however you want to look at it, as you would Mashiach? And if the answer is no, you got to tighten up. Because the scripture said it. As fit unto Adonai. If you will submit to Mashiach in all ways, you should have no problem submitting to the likeness of Mashiach. If he is in the likeness. You got to make that very clear. If he is in the likeness. And if he's not, then you probably shouldn't even dealt with him anyway. And so we see this rebellion is already off the rip. And she going to do her own thing. She going to Beyonce this joint, right? So, what's the definition of stiff-neck?
Rebellious.
Stubborn. What'd you say?
Rebellious.
Rebellious, right? Haughty. Unyielding. Inflexible. Inflexible. That means you ain't even trying to change your ways. You're going to be caught in it, it is what it is. You're going to think like you think and that's it. But see, if you're a Hebrew, you know that ain't, there's no way that you're going to be in this culture and think like that. You got to have a mind of Mashiach. That's it. For men, women, and children, you have to have that mind of selflessness. And if you don't, a lot of the time you're working witchcraft. Anything that's opposite of the Mashiach is evil witchcraft. Period. And so we have to recognize that this heathen woman is not an Israelite woman. And so you see this mindset. going on, right? You see the mindset. So let's get to Sirach 26 and 9. Sirach 26 and 9.
Sirach 26 and 9.
Right.
The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids.
And her haughty looks and eyelids.
If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty.
Oh, no, start right there. That's not what I wanted to go to. Actually, verse 7, that's what I wanted to hit. It's verse 7.
Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 7. An evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro.
Right, and so who was that yoke? Who was that yoke around?
The husband.
The husband, right? And so this can be very well understood that this is her emotions. Her emotions have this man shaking to and fro. Right? Her emotions having this man shaking to and fro. Not knowing if he want to keep the commandments, not knowing that he should bend for her, not knowing that he should just allow her to kind of come out herself until she's ready. Right? And so he has to be shaking to and fro until she gets right. Come on.
He that hath hold of her is as though he held a scorpion.
What that mean to y'all?
Poison.
Poisonous. Death.
And he literally has to hold her as if, he has to handle her as if she's venomous, because he knows she can bite him and strike against him. So he's literally attempting to handle this woman that's that dangerous to him.
Right.
And men have that going on in their own household.
And so it's like he's walking on nails all the time. She get an attitude, he got to hold his tongue because he don't want to offend her because she may leave. Or she got to work on Shabbat, but he want to tell her she ain't supposed to work on Shabbat, but he allowed it because he don't want her giving her feelings. And so he's shaking to and fro what's the truth and how much room should he give her. Why are we pointing these things out? Because we have to identify that there may be some off balanceness within ourselves and our relationships. Period. If we say we are Hebrew, we got to stick to the word as is. Ain't no changing it the way that we think it should go. It's what the words say. Period. Whether that be English, Greek, Hebrew, the word is what the word is. And oftentimes, because it may, like what you say, it may hit us different. It may hit us a type of way. We want to say, oh, it's not in the Most High. Oh, it's not in the Most High. Most High didn't ordain that. Well, where's the sin? This is why we have to stick to the script and nothing else. No respect of persons. No respect. That's for the sisters. That's for the brothers. Ain't no respect of person. Because if we do, we get pulled along with the darkness. And the light starts to get dimmer and dimmer within ourselves. And the purpose is you can be with them, but you're supposed to be pulling them. They ain't supposed to be pulling you. Y'all following? And so if you getting shaken to and fro by this evil woman because she caught up in her emotion because the Most High said it is so, then you, my brother, is out of line yourself. And now you have a scorpion in your hand, walking on needles. And so the first thing is, let's keep reading. We're back at Esther. Read verse 9 again.
Also Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to the king Ahasuerus. On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine,
Right.
he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagatha, Zethar, Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus, the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty.
So hold on. First thing, what does this sound like? Your brother got this beautiful woman, First thing he want to do is show them off to his boys.
Like, that's going to be the grand finale.
Showing off to his boys.
They told her to put on the crown royal.
Uh-huh.
That thing was jeweled up.
Not because you really wanted her by your side, but you wanted to show her off.
Trophy wife.
Trophy wife, right? And then you wondering why she making feast to herself. Was she the prize? What she got to... Well, what she did?
It's all about me.
She the prize.
It's all about me.
You need her. You don't need you. And so that's sometimes what brothers do, is put women on a higher pedestal because they want to feel good about themselves. Right? Not by her works, but by her looks.
If you don't mind that. He's really, he's fronting with her, but he really ain't out of order because your woman is your glory. You know what I mean? Your woman that's supposed to be the thing that you know what I mean? That's supposed to represent your, your success. You know? Go ahead up.
Hallelujah. And so now, because again, she's not in the rightful state of mind of Torah, she wants to do her own thing and say, I ain't got to come. What I need to come for? You the king, so what? I'm the queen. I'm the queen. Right? And so this is where you get your portion. You want to physically show somebody off, but because you haven't tested the spirit, they give you exactly now where they stand at. Yeah, you done presented her the prize outwardly, but inside she feel like she's really that prize above you. Not understanding or understanding her role or how she's supposed to help you, like you said, glorify you. And so now, go ahead.
It's kind of like man to Yah. We put ourselves on that prideful pedestal when we're supposed to really be playing our position and glorifying Him.
Right.
That's right.
And then brothers, you see this in the world. Brothers bringing they dress up they wives in these short clothes, let her show her cleavage and all that, and then get mad when his boy try to holler at her.
Right. Facts.
But you done presented her that way. You presented her as a present. Gift wrap. What you expect?
They slipping off in them DMs.
And so because you want to have this prideful, this glory of I'm showing on my wife, you got exactly that filthy gift. And now your brother is coveting because you just put it forth like that. And so this is why brothers have to take the examination process with our sisters and make sure she even fit to be in that type of light.
And some sisters will actually be offended by that, and they'll actually like, since you're presenting me this way, you're not covering me, you're not protecting me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some of them be like, oh, if you want me to act like this, then let me go all the way with it. Let me really be this person you want me to be. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to show you off like I'm showing off my Rolls or my Ferrari, and then she feels like she's becoming basically objectified. You know?
And so you see this instance of her defying her king, doing her own thing, making her own decisions. So I asked it earlier, where did we see this at before? Kawa, Eve. We saw this in Eve, right? And what did we see in Eve? She desired to exalt herself, right? Making the decision for herself like she knew was best for herself without consulting her husband, right? And when we do that, we often put ourselves in the light of exposure. And so this is why you have a lot of cases of what women go through as far as trauma. No need to speak on it, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Because they have put themselves in this light or been so freely exposed to the world, this is the result of that, without having it covering. And so we're going to see that in Genesis 3. Let's go to Genesis 3. We're going to start at 1. Genesis 3 and 1. Yeah, somebody give me Ephesians 5:24.
I got Genesis.
Come on.
Now the serpent was more subtle
You speak a little louder for me,
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord had made. And he said unto the woman, Ye have God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of this garden.
So hold on, what was the first mistake this happened?
He told them not to eat of the.
No. What was the first mistake?
More subtle.
What was the first mistake?
Disobedient.
Now listen.
How did he
lied
get-
because-
how did-
Oh, okay. She was alone. She was left. She was unattended.
unattended to, without a covering? How did he get access to talk to her in such a way to convince her?
She was
by
already
herself.
wandering off.
Say that again.
She was already wandering off.
Already wandering off. Because she had made up in her mind before even getting to the tree that she didn't need to follow her husband. See, we often skip that part. Asking her, how did he even get to her like that? Where was Adam? Where was the brother at? He's still naming animals. What was he doing? Right? How did he? How? And this the problem. And this what do we see today? Because brothers want to put their wife out there so early to teach. Boom! Here comes the serpent convincing her that she's above her husband. That she is just as equal on a teaching scale as him. And then get upset and want to call her a Jezebel, but yet you allow her to wander off into that type of platform. See, the confusion ain't just by women. It's about the allowing a woman to do certain things, which creates bigger problems. You put her on the scale like that, you put her exposed like that, and your result was she started to become the scorpion in your hand. You put her out there like a rat, chasing the cheese, she came back as a scorpion. And so we have to identify, again, process and examine, and assimilate our woman into the likeness of ourselves. So that when you leave the house, you're still here. And see, we see Eve didn't have the proper assimilation just yet. Anybody understand what assimilation means? Tell me, who knows what it means?
Hold it together.
Guidance.
Training.
Training. What you got?
I was just gonna say making something to someone like something else or like you.
The best way to describe assimilation
A clone.
is us Negroes in America. We have been assimilated to this society. We don't even have our own minds. And that doesn't mean, but assimilation is good if you're trying to become one with something that's for you and to cover you.
Right. And so the defined definition of assimilation is the process of taking in, right, and fully understanding the information or ideas that's given to you. And so we know that Adam was assimilated perfectly for the Most High. But did he put that same time into his wife? Did he put that same time into his wife? Did he assimilate her in the same way and format that the Most High assimilated Adam? And if not, then this is where the dysfunction comes from. And so this goes back to what I was saying. Yeah, y'all thought this was going to be straight about female. Nah, we talking about everything. Everything that happens with a female has everything to do with the man. Because it was because of Adam's lack of guarding his property and possession that his wife, who was a part of him, got exposed and assimilated to a better idea that she thought was right. How did she get a mind to think like that? Serpent had plenty of time to beguile her.
Excuse me, I think this is the hard part where especially in this society where brothers and sisters having a hard time in relationships. Because lots of times what's counted for insecurity in a man is really he's trying to protect his woman. Like, yo, hey, I don't, where you going tonight? He may question and say, hey, well, what you doing tonight? Where you going? I don't feel comfortable with you doing that. You know what I mean? And she may be like, hey, I'm a grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I'm a grown woman, but you don't understand. Once I become one with you, you're a part of me. You outside of me, you're exposing me. Huh? You're exposing me to all the other elements. Because I love you. I'm a cod with you now. Mm-hmm. So when you're out of my line of sight, you're literally out of my protection.
Right.
So I may be like on some, hey, well, what you going? I'm going to be with so-and-so. Like, nah, not her. You know what I mean? Like, anybody be like anybody but her. And she gonna be like, you a grown woman. You gonna let that nigga control you?
Sir.
You know what I'm saying? You gonna let him tell you what to do? Girl, we don't even hang out like we used to. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, you're now under a covering, and Hashatai knows you're under that covering, so your rebellion, because when you were ignorant, walking in ignorance, you weren't under a covering, so it was just Yah's mercy covering you. Mm-hmm. But now that you come under a covering of a husband, Yah recognizes that authority in your man. Mm-hmm. Okay? He recognizes that authority, so now it's like, okay, that's your covering. So now, but once you leave it, I don't have to protect you no more. I don't. Mm-hmm. Because my line in my chain of command says that's your covering. Right? And now he's your covering. So you go outside of that covering, anything can happen to you.
Anything. I'm going to show you the result of generational, of an uncovering for our sisters. So this is called, it's an article saying women may carry the DNA of all sexual partners. And so it says, being fruitful, you follow me? Can not only be deadly. DNA from the seed of your past sexual partners can come back to haunt you, your children, and even generations to come. You may want to think twice about that next one-night stand or the dude with less than stellar DNA. You might secretly shack up with to end your long day of dry spell. There's a little known ancient scientific fact that I would like to share with you about human fruitful relations. That is, if you would like to remain in control of your mind, body, and the integrity of your divine tree of life, it deals with your DNA. An imposter's male seed in the form of DNA of people that can infiltrate your blood through the sacred act of fruitfulness, when that is often absolutely the last thing you would ever want to happen. This science gives us a new meaning to one-night stands, being that there really is no such thing as a one-night stand when sexual partners swap DNA with one another. They are not just forming a one-day fruitful union of animalistic fueled passion, but a lifelong connection in which they may in fact forever connected through the tree of life that we know as of DNA. The theory that all the mothers' fruitful partners influence their children's physical characteristics dates back to ancient Greece and Rome, where it was simply an accepted fact. They did not have the science to back it up, but they definitely knew enough about fruitful relations and blood to even have laws at times against adultery and sodomy. Many of these laws were punishable by banishment, torture, and murder by horrible deaths. And so it goes into the law of Constantine. Okay, so the next article. And so we see through that is that, and a lot of times it's either through a man pretty much laying seed in a woman, either knowingly or unknowingly, right? Or a lot of times it's after that woman gets an abortion. She still leaves his DNA in there. And so what we can see is when you have these genetics or DNAs in your system, what starts to happen?
You begin to take on the characteristics.
You begin to take on the characteristics. And so when a woman is uncovered for so long and she's trying to find, because most of us grew up with our fathers, women and men. And so just like men try to find their mother and woman, women try to find their father and men. And so she's having these multiple partners trying to find her father, not knowing she's taking on the genetic characteristics of each man that she's laying with. And so this is something that brothers have to deal with when dealing with these type of women. And so you have to do the assimilation process to wean out that DNA. And a lot of times it's targeting her spirit. You have to be able to re-trigger and unwind those spirits so that you can get her. It's just like tilling. You got to keep tilling. Keep tilling until you get to a place where now you can start actually working. See, a lot of us try to put in work before unwinding or tilling the right way. And then wondering why we got these different personalities in our home. Case in point, one of the things you may hear is you go through something, the first thing she say is my ex put me through that. She is now showing you a characteristic that she is attached to her spirit in remembrance of what you may have done that reminded her of her past.
Or if I can add,
Go
or remind her of what you're doing inadequately, that another man did better than you in her perception.
Yep.
She may feel like, let's say for hypothetically, she married, married, covenant, became one with, right? Another alpha male. And this man was more dominant than you. She's going to compare your adequacies or inadequacies against this other alpha male. And more than likely, what we consider alpha male is a man who's a gangster, thug, got that, you know what I mean, that flow, whatever. But that, because that is, especially in the black community, that's what's seen as an alpha male.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He got a hard line. He really don't take no for an answer. Most of our sisters are attracted to that. Let's just be real. But you come in and she say, well, I don't want to feel that pain no more, so I want me a good guy. But you can't deal with this dude who was accused, was no nonsense, knock a Negro out in a heartbeat. And she's compelled and moved by that person because she looks at him. That is a man compared to you, and she will always compare you to that man because he is the standard now that's set not only in her mind and her logic, but again in her DNA.
Question. You said a lot of us till before we try to figure out if it's worth it. At what point do you know whether to work or let go?
You got the word. You got a blueprint. Right? And so a lot of the process we even skip. The question is, did you even talk to her father first? Do she got a father? That's the first box you need to check. Who is her father? And if she got one. That would tell you a lot. Because if she don't got one, that tells you you're going to have to deal with a lot of trauma of a fatherless woman who raised up in nothing but emotion.
Can I want to address the question. Ask it again because I want to see if you said what I thought I heard.
I was like, at what point do you know whether to work until towards obtaining this woman or letting go?
What, a specific woman from like you're actually dealing with now, or someone in future tense?
No, just
in general. Okay.
Universal.
Okay,
like,
gotcha. No,
if I see a
you
woman,
get,
I said, look, I see her. She has qualities of a wife.
Right.
So we court. At what point, there's red flags.
What qualities
I would look at. Yeah.
What qualities did you see to even say that she's qualified?
Virtuosity.
Like what?
Fear of the Most High.
Tell me. Give me some characteristics. What do you
like? She covers her head. She covers her head when she prays. She wears fringes. She honors the Sabbath. She follows the laws. She's catering. She's
I'm gonna ask. I got where you going. I'm gonna say something a little profound.
Okay.
Those things are really for us to do.
As far as elders.
As far as men.
Okay.
Those ordinances really given to the men. Now that don't mean women don't have to do those things. But the way to know is if she's in compliance to you. All you need to look for is compliance. It's not deep. You're looking for compliance.
By knowing if she's in compliance to somebody.
Yeah, she's in compliance. If she's willing to be in compliance to you, that is the barometer you use.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? If you keep going, and there's different ways There's different ways of looking for a woman that's in compliance to you.
Think about this. How did Abraham's servant know that was Isaac's wife? That should be his wife. What did she show?
Oh, you talking about when she watered the camel?
She showed that she was in compliance of serving a higher power than herself.
And that's all it took.
What did he start? He started praising the Most High. He prayed to her. He said, if this woman does this, and that, then I know, keyword, if she does this, and that, then I know that's my wife. And so you said fringes. What does that mean? Pharisees wore fringes. Right? They kept the Sabbath. They kept the law. Does that mean that is fit for you?
No.
Because you could do all those things and not have the heart to do it. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And so he understood by her heart and willingness and tenacity to serve him. By how she served the one already over her, which was her father.
Oh, yeah. Esther.
The best way to figure out if she's in compliance is when you see that she believes in something wholeheartedly, and you give her the opposite outlook. Watch her facial expressions and watch her response.
Very good way.
She's gonna change.
Right. And that doesn't mean some sisters we just happen to, Yah may have allowed that you stumbled across. Because most of my relationship with the Most High, I've learned from dealing with women. And I'm going to say that based on, I can look and see where my rebellion was, because they tend to be a reflection. I'm not talking about women I personally dealt with either. I'm talking about just women in family, moms, aunts, all of them. You see what I'm saying? And as I begin to study natural law, you begin to study what compliance is. What compliance teaches you. And a lot of men don't know how to deal with compliance. And that's where men need to be trained. Because men think that a rebellious woman, a talking back woman, or a bad bee. Some men want that because that keeps that relationship spicy. Right? Am I lying?
You're not going off. That's true.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So we think that's cute. But it takes for you, once you begin old and that wears you down and you start becoming a man, you realize you don't have time for that no more. You don't have the time for that no more. Your time begins to get running out. You get limited. And you realize you done spent 5, 10, 15 years playing this game with this other woman, and you two have not accomplished anything. Absolutely nothing. She was purposeless because she's supposed to be your helpmeet. And so she's frustrated. You ain't even gave her anything to do. You ain't giving her no vision. You ain't giving her no agenda. You haven't given her anything. You see? But to answer the question, we're going to let them continue, is compliance. You want compliance. You want to know what compliance is. Then compliance is everything the Most High is asking from you as men. That you should be looking at her for you. Because you are supposed to be a reflection and a model of him. She should be submitted to you in that way.
See, everybody has to go through the proving process. Everybody. Even children. It could be from our own seed. And they can still either be your child or your son. That's just the truth. Was Cain Adam's son or child? Child.
Also, you got to be able to give your wife or person according to chances. Because there's times where the Lord's trying to show us something as men, but we went the opposite way. So the Lord easily done like, you know what, I'm done with you. But
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely. And we're still, as the bride of Mashiach, supposed to be, we're still getting proven right now.
Yeah.
We're not the bride yet.
Your whole life.
We're predestined to be, but we're not the bride yet. And so you're going through a proving process, a courting process with the Mashiach. And so when he comes back, you'll see if you're really the wife or not. Period. And so we have, again, as in heaven, so on earth, the same process has to be applied to when dealing with your woman. Taking her through the proving process and helping refine her and test her. Like you said, you do something opposite on what you believe to see if she'll buck. Right? See if she'll buck, or is, like we said in the wilderness, ask the wife, we shall do all that you say. That should be the response in everything that a man says to a woman. I'm going to do all that you say because I am here to help you. I'm here to help you. As we are here to help Mashiach build his kingdom. That's why 1 Corinthians 11 is how it is. It's a very certain order and distinct order on how it should be. And if anything outside of that is nothing but wickedness and folly. Right? Ephesians 5:24. I'm going to read this article. The article is from BaltimoreOutloud.com. It says, Mind Foster reports that women retain and carry living DNA from every man with whom they have sexual intercourse. According to a study by the University of Seattle and the Fred Hitchison Cancer Research Center, the study, which discovered the startling information by accident, was originally trying to determine if women who have been pregnant with a son might be predispositioned to certain neurological diseases that occur more frequently in males. The study found that female brains often harbor male microchimerisms. In other words, the presence of male DNA that originated from another individual and are genetically distinct from the cells that make up the rest of the woman. According to the study, 63% of women, and this gave a stat, 37 women out of 59, tested harbored male microorganisms in the brain. Male microorganism was present in multiple brain regions. The researchers wanted to know where the male DNA came from and determined that the possible sources of the male DNA cell living in the woman's brain are an abortion the woman didn't know about, a male twin that vanished, and an older brother transferred from the maternal circulation, and sexual intercourse. The first three options apply to a very small percentage of women. They couldn't possibly account for the 63% figure. The fourth option is rather more common, which is sex. And so this is why it was detrimental for our women to have a covering and proving, because women were not supposed to be going through men the way that they are. And yes?
I have read also something that said that men also carry the DNA of women. Absolutely. When they have intercourse with them. All the women that they have intercourse with, their DNA is in their penile. You know what I'm saying? So, do you feel like, not that they take on the characteristics, if they're not, of course, if they're not covered by God, do those characteristics come about?
With them, like, I believe if we go through the process of unwinding and processing, we actually have a blueprint to how to unwind those spirits out. You get what I'm saying? I don't believe that after you come in covenant and you virtuous that they still. I don't believe that. I believe we actually take the, because again we're a traumatized people, so we still got to deal with 400 years mentally of oppression. So that takes some unwinding. It takes some tilling before actually starting the process of laying seed. You get what I'm saying? And so my point of saying all this is that we don't take the time to process thoroughly until then, by the time we're ready to plant seed, you're going to come up with a corruptible seed. You're going to come up with a corruptible seed because you didn't take the time to unwind until the proper way. And so again, case in point is you're in a relationship and he, like he said, she telling you what her other man did. Obviously he's still in her. He's still in her because she's still, when you're not doing wrong or when you're doing wrong, she's thinking in her mind, her brain cell, the memory of her last man and how he did her right. Because she has not fully let her go, not only from her spirit but from her genetics.
And if I can, I want to most definitely confirm what she said, because we're told in Scripture that he said, the men of Israel are not to go into a harlot, because you go into a harlot, you become one with one.
Exactly.
And so there's that spiritual ramification that when we become one with I, when we go using idolatry is the same thing. We're literally forcing Yah spirit to go into it. Go ahead, Aki.
And on top of that, Levites can't marry a woman that's been divorced.
Oh, I'm going through that too.
Hallelujah.
We're going to go through all that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask, does it say there, like the people that each partner's been with, since it's in your DNA, do you transfer that to your partner?
As far as the
Like everybody you've been with, your wife has been with everybody your wife been with?
Scientifically, yes.
Okay.
That's why I say even your son. I can have a son, and technically he can take on the characteristics of anybody in the past.
Just imagine.
I mean, we do it spiritually, right? Those are not my daughters, but now they're shaping in my likeness, because now my DNA of Yah is in them.
Let's do this. Let's use Christmas. Those who is really deeply in Christmas, like deep in it. That has a spiritual. Those are spiritual seeds. We are in a relationship with that. If you've been in Christmas, there's a relationship with that thing. People literally spiritually, and I'm just gonna use this as a spiritual thing to show something natural. People literally, when Christmas start coming around, there's an emotional change. You see what I'm saying? Once that music get to going, then next thing you know, and I still do it, I'm gonna be honest. When I hear that music come on the radio, it's like, cause you'll start like, hey, dog. You know what I mean? Because what happened, you had a relationship with it. Let's be real. You had a relationship with this thing.
And they say your self-conscious control 90%.
Your self-conscious, right. So you're in there, and once you get to going, you know when it's coming around. So now, us as Hebrews, we've learned to gird ourselves now. You know what I mean? We literally, now we actually have antibodies. We have the word. We go to Jeremiah 10. We've been in the culture long enough where we could be like, now, okay, here they come. It's time to get the, you know what I'm saying, get the immune system, spiritual immune system up. Right? Mm-hmm. But when you look at anything you have a relationship and you connect with, that becomes a part of you. You know, customs, traditions, all those things become one with us. Right. And you have people literally will not come to this truth because of that one tradition. Because they say, I cannot see that this is wrong because of the way it make me feel.
We got to understand that everything is of a balanced way. With the physical comes the spiritual. With the spiritual comes the physical. You cannot have one without the other. Mm-hmm. Just like you can't have works and not have faith.
Right.
You can't have faith without works. It comes even. Father is about balance. So the things you do on earth is either a witness in the Shamayim or it's a witness to Satan. Mm-hmm. Period. Everything. The consummation is physical, but it's a spiritual connection. Mm-hmm. The spiritual oneness. Right? Just like you were talking about Christmas. What did we do? We brought gifts, we put up the tree. It was physically, but our spirits start to connect with it.
And that's very emotional. It's very emotional to give gifts and trade. That's exchange. That's giving and taking. That's sex in a way. In a lot of ways. It's intimacy. And we don't understand it. We're enculturated into it. Right. You got people that will literally go broke that whole month. Huh? They will literally go broke that whole month just to give in vanity. But people will do that in relationships for years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Going about to please somebody. I'll give you whatever it takes. I'm trying to prove my love to you because we were created to serve and to rule. But the things that we serve is supposed to rule over us, and that's what the Most High is. But the things, if it's vain things, then it's not going to be. It's going to be nothing fruitful about it. It's going to be idolatry.
Right. Absolutely. And so going back to the original point is this is what we saw with Eve. Her covering was not around, therefore she was exposed to any and everything that wanted to take her. So let's read Genesis. Go back to Genesis again. Somebody, one of y'all give me 1 Corinthians 14:35. I want to read that Genesis first.
We never went to.
Nah, we can drop that. No, read that feature. Let me read it. Who got that?
Ephesians 5 and what?
24. Somebody started 21.
24.
You said 24?
Yeah.
All right. I think you want 23.
I think you want 21.
I think you want 21 too.
Well, let's start at 21. All
right. Submitting us. All right. Ephesians chapter 5, verse.
I really wanted 24.
Okay, verse 24. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ.
It's subject. What does that mean? Subject.
Subservient.
Subservient to who? Mashiach, right? Keep going.
So let the wives be to their own husband in everything.
Just some things.
Everything.
Most things.
Everything.
Everything. Everything. Did Eve do this? No. Did Vashti do this? No. Because they were not assimilated into their husband the right way. They were not tilled correctly into their husband. Therefore, by the time she got to a high stature, she still had a piece of her mind within her to do her own thing. And so you have to ask yourself, to our sisters, when you going through even issues, your husband asks you to do something, are you resisting to do it? And if you're resisting, who is that telling you to resist? Whether you be a...
I didn't hear. Ask that again.
I said, are you, anytime your husband's asking you for something, are you resisting to do what he's asked? And if you are resisting, who you think is telling you to resist? Who was talking to Eve?
Searching talk. That old serpent.
Who beguiled her? But again, brother, how did she even get exposed?
How did she get exposed?
Living the covenant.
Teaching that equality doctrine. Right? A black woman is God doctrine. That's the result you get. A multiple personalities of different men in your woman when you do not cover her or till her the right way.
I'm going to say this real quick.
No dad in the house too.
It's the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. 9 times out of 10, me growing up, there was an old saying, and we adults here, right? Right. Children, I'll say it as less experience possible. There's an old saying that my old heads used to tell me, you can only if a woman is attracted to you, you can only talk yourself out of it. That's what I grew up learning about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If she, women have made up their mind 9 times out of 10 way ahead of you, whether you were the one or not. Before you even spoke. They already. So all you really do is talk yourself out of it. Say something real lame and stupid. But they pretty much done made up their mind because it's the eyes. If a woman already sees something that's seemly or something that's, like, oh, wow. You see what I'm saying? And so lots of times, this is why, even in ancient times, sisters would keep their head down. And we would think that, oh, that's controlling and all that. But because the eyes is a gate. So lots of times a man that knows and he's prowess and he know he this or that coming in, whatever, and he knows he carries himself a certain way, if that sister doesn't have enough reverence for her husband. See, it's the reverence of the husband, and the husband has to establish that reverence with his wife. He has to. You see what I'm saying? And respect. But it takes a community to establish that level of respect with one another. It takes brothers I'm not going to go too far, but we ask what it is. It's the lust of the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Remember, Eve looked on the fruit and saw that it was what? Good to eat. So her eyes was already fixed on that possibility, like, it looked good. But then what was the clincher? He said, come on, man, you ain't gonna die today, you eat that, man. He trying to hold you back. He was questioning her station and her position. Go ahead.
The servant was low-key teacher. That's why you got to be careful who you watching.
Who you watching? Game.
Everything must be proven.
Everything. And so when he was showing the fruit, he was like, look at it. And right. And she was basically looking when she was looking, and she knew that it was good for the eyes. Good to look upon and eat. That's where he got her. He said, he's about to put that feminism in it. Equality.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? The day you eat this, you'll become like him. You'll become like God.
Become like God. This is the birth of Egyptology. Right there. Let's get back to Genesis 3. Somebody, who got first Corinthians 14:35? So let's start with Genesis 3.
Verse what?
14:35.
Yeah, Genesis 3. We're going to start at Genesis 3, verse 1. Go ahead.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field,
Right.
which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Ye hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
And so we see this serpent opposing this controversial question of, did your power tell you can't eat this? He said you can't do this. You shouldn't be wearing this. You should keep your Shabbat like this. Is this what he's teaching you? And she really thought in her head, like, well, I mean, yeah, he is teaching me that. She didn't say, that's what I believe because my Lord said it. She said what? He said it. But isn't she supposed to be the voice of her Lord? So you see the disconnect we see going on right here. She didn't speak in reference to her husband. She spoke as if she was talking about another person, as if she wasn't supposed to be shaping his likeness. So let's keep reading.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree, which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it.
And so women have to be very careful who you entertaining.
Neither shall you.
Oh, stop right there. You have to be very careful. This is why you have to reverence your husband to the fullest, because he is your protection. You think you know men, but a man know man better than you know men. It's like a woman always gonna say, I know women more than you, and that's a fact. And we know brothers too, especially the niggards. It's just a fact. And so you have to trust in it. When we tell you don't deal with this person or sister, or be careful about dealing with this person, or while we both talk to them, it's not a thing of insecurity, it's a thing of protection, because naturally that's how we were built.
I mean, too, just on that, you mentioned wives and husbands, right? But even for the sisters that are single, and for the Akeem too, bad company corrupts good morals.
Mm-hmm.
It's only but so long. You keep your dead weight around, and you know, Nahash hissing. You start listening to that hissing, just like Eve did. You find yourself on the wrong.
That's right.
You know what I mean, on the wrong path because you're listening to the wrong people. You find that problems you didn't have because you were on the right path. Now you start having these problems. You start having this way of thinking. All that.
Right. And so women, you understand that a man was literally set in place to naturally protect you and guard you and give you provision. Because man didn't give himself provision. Who gave it to him?
Most High.
The Most High. So what makes women think that they don't have the same process of a man giving them provision? It doesn't go that way. The Father didn't make man and then say to women, you got different rules. No. It's the same thing. It's called a general custom, a general order. Right. A manager ain't going to do nothing different than a CEO. He may do lesser work, but the plan is still the same.
What you was saying kind of bring me into mind when the Shiite was like, who is my mother, who is my sister, who is my brother, but those in the will of my Father. And a lot of times the women get disgruntled and they get knocked off track because they're a little gullible and they have, you know, this problem with trusting people that they shouldn't really give the weight to, the trust to. You know, if they're not in this walk, you can't really have conversations and take advice for them because they ain't dealing with the Mashiach. You know what I'm saying? They ain't dealing with the Father. So that's the person you might getting advice from. This person may be your mother, it may be your auntie, but they ain't in this walk. The advice that they gonna give you is not coming from the on high. It's coming from something else, especially if it's geared talking about your husband, you know, or your marriage, or how you supposed to be raising your children. You know what I'm saying? All that's supposed to come from your husband. Straight up. That's what the word say.
We gonna see it. 1 Corinthians 14:35. Who got that?
I got it.
Go ahead.
And if they will learn anything,
if they will be taught they will be instructed to do anything. What?
Let them ask their husbands.
No,
at
the
home.
serpent.
Their husbands.
No, his teacher.
Their husbands.
His elder.
Their husbands.
Their husbands. You ain't gonna go past the first line of defense, and then you're gonna go to a higher power. You gotta go through the first one first. And so we have to understand there is a distinct and divine order that the Father has put. If you can't get past the first level, you should not be skipping to the second and third level. Sisters, understand that? You understand? Your husband is your Lord. He is your protector, your God, your the one who gives you provision. He is the anointed one the Father has put over you as a covering.
That's right. And any elder should not circumvent that authority. He should never allow you to speak to himself without the presence or the authority of your husband. Mm-hmm. That's just it, period.
And even for brothers, like, because again, we have sisters who will do this, is they'll go beyond their husband and ask to speak to you. Mm-hmm. The first thing you need to say is, where's your husband? Mm-hmm. Right. Where's your husband? I'll talk to you when he's right here with me, because there ain't going to be no nah. Right. And that's how we get caught up. And you see it going on today in our nation. Yes.
See, if an elder does do that, he will be God by the serpent as well.
Yes, he will.
Exactly.
He will be.
Exactly. Brother,
that feeds the ego as well. Like when a woman oversteps her husband and speaks and seeks wisdom, it feeds your ego. And before you know it, you're playing into it.
Exactly.
And I don't care how young that brother is. I don't care how immature he may look. I don't care how unproven he may appear. The order don't change.
Order don't change.
The order don't change.
And see, this goes even into, if he's going through that, who even gave you to him? Why is he not thoroughly refined yet for you to deal with? And see, what you'll find, and we're gonna go into further, is back in the day, the men was usually older.
That's right.
Because age already has established some type of authority. Mm-hmm. And because we have this game of cougars and chasing the tail going on, most young men are attracted to older women. But then when it's time to get serious, because naturally a woman will submit to a higher authority, usually by age. So she's going to look at you if you're dealing with that as a boy. And so now you're finding yourself in a relationship where she's sonning you. And you're trying to figure out how to until that. But who gave that woman to you in the first place? This is why it was a provision even for brothers. The father or your elder chose your wife.
And why he did that, and why he would do that, because he felt once that boy became a man, he knew that he was in his image. He's like, I know he's equipped. I've equipped him to deal with you. So now if he's coming, if for whatever reason you have a problem with him, go get your husband.
Go get your husband.
Go get your man. Because something's wrong. Because either he's forgetting what I taught him, or you tripping. But nonetheless, we're going to get down to it. We're going to find out what it is. And this is the importance of having that eldership and having those men around that's going to help these young men get raised up right, because it's a necessity that even in the element of marriage, that the husbands and the young husbands, if they're young, they still know that there's a respect that they should even have from their eldership.
Right.
Yeah,
Read that. Go ahead.
I was going to read Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23. It says, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. So that's the reason why you're supposed to go to your husband, because the husband is the savior of your body.
He's the one who has redeemed you.
He's the one that's responsible for saving your body.
What does redeeming mean? It's the difference between saving and redeeming. What is that?
Take off.
Buy back, like the Most High bought us back. And so that's why women, you better reference your husband in that way, because he has literally bought you and saved you from whoredom and harlotry, if you were in that life. Or he has been able to transfer you and even help you by taking you from a righteous man and using you to build up a higher kingdom. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is why we have to get back to Torah and the righteous order of patriarchy. This is not matriarchy. This is patriarchy.
And does he have the qualifications to redeem you?
Does he have the qualifications?
Is he serving in a capacity as a redeemer? So that means some of you sisters who do not have men, you're going to have to get around leadership, and that may mean that more than likely may first look for eldership and look for motherhood in older women.
Yes,
that's proven.
Yes,
that's in women.
Oh, and a woman, not only mothership, but a mother who has a husband. Because she's going to teach you how to serve your man in the right manner. See, we have it's like blasphemy when we say serve and submission. But anything we do, we serve. Men too. Everything we do, serve. You go to work, you're serving your enemy. But you try to cake it up talking about we under these curses. No, you choose to serve him. Because you can easily work hard and be an entrepreneur for yourself. Or you can serve somebody who's an entrepreneur so they can teach you how to start serving yourself and your people. So everything comes with a service. But who are you serving? Are you serving Hashatan or are you serving the Most High?
That's yes. And look and see if that man is really happy. If you see a happy man, more than likely that's the woman that you want to learn from.
And also, too, I wanted to say this. The husband is responsible for saving or redeeming the wife in the physical sense. Yes, he also responsible in the spiritual sense as well. As you go down a couple more verses, it says, the husbands, love your wife even as Christ, even as the Mashiach also loved the church, and he gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So that goes with, at home, you're supposed to be feeding your wife this word.
Yes.
Washing this right here. That's what you're supposed to be doing as a husband. That's your duty to your whole family.
Yeah. But again, you have to go through that proven process. Is she willing to listen? That proven process ain't no 3-week process. You have to take the time. Sometimes we rush into it because she done kept one Shabbat. Boom, this is my wife. She kept one Shabbat. That's a righteous woman right there. She done went from booty shorts to a skirt down to her knees. That's it right there. We have our Esther. Everything is a proven process, man. Like seriously, it takes more than just a few weeks, man.
For real. You got brothers go out and borrow some garments for a sister like that. Hey, put this on.
Right.
In the congregation. You know what I mean?
For real. That's real talk though. She can put some fringes on, border of blue, hair wrap, got all types of Hebraic jewelry on. This is a righteous Proverbs 31 woman right here. She got it. All of a sudden, 5 weeks later, your buddy in court. She filing child support.
5 weeks. That's 5 weeks. And that baby is yours.
You know what I'm saying? That's real talk. It be like that. It's real talk.
The baby ain't even his.
Because we have it as men. We have not even been through the proven process ourselves. Men don't know how to serve men. So how you going to teach a woman how to serve you?
And a lot of times we choose women without going to our fathers first.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because who going to know you better than your father or your elder?
And lots of times we don't do it because we don't want to hear no.
Exactly.
We don't want to hear no.
Or in some cases, hell no. No. Not in my house. Because seriously, it's just like a pit bull. If you have a pit bull in the Rockwall and you mix, what happens to the lineage? And so you're responsible as men to carry on your father's lineage. And so if you allow this tainted source or untilled source to come into this lineage, you have now curved the process of a righteous seed. And so now you have went back maybe even 10 generations Because we don't know how long she been taught that same mindset. So now you got to until 10 generations, making sure she don't teach your child in the process of 10 generations of filthiness and unlawlessness, just to get back to point 1 where you should have been before laying with it. Let's get back to the point, man. 2 Corinthians 11.
For it is a shame for a woman to speak in the church.
No, 2 Corinthians 11.
2 Corinthians 11.
Yeah. 11, and we're going to start verse 1. And so, again, we see Eve, not only did she not reference Adam, but she didn't even consider asking him if this was okay to have this type of teaching or conversation been going on. Because that's what he was doing. He was teaching, right? He made a point. He was teaching her. To teach somebody is teaching them a way on how to live. And he was teaching her that you don't have to follow orders. You don't have to follow. You don't even have to ask your head if it's okay. Because you doing this on your own will show you that you are on his level. I'm trying to tell you that you're a God. You don't have to listen to no man. That's what the idea and ideology that was put in her mind. That she was going. But guess what? Who had that first idea? Satan. Did he not say he was going to try to go be as the Most High? And so this is where this idea came from. Before a beginning, this was the idea that was put forth. And so when that darkness hit the earth, this was the lineage of teaching that was being taught to the children of darkness. And so what Satan tried to do was taint the children of light and show them that you can be greater than your master. Did Mashiach not say that the servant is no greater than his master? You see? And so we do opposite, whether that be man, woman, or child, opposite of the word, we are the children of darkness. And we're pushing on that lineage of teaching. 2 Corinthians 11.
Would to Elohim you could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me.
Right.
For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy. For I have exposed you to one husband.
Espouse you.
Oh, they say different. Okay. Espouse you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin in Mashiach.
A what?
A chaste virgin to Mashiach.
What is it chaste? What's chaste? What is to be chaste? Anybody?
Pure, clean, virtuous.
Shaping, right?
Yeah.
Go to
Chase.
Chaste. Let's see. Give us a regular definition of chaste. Definition of chaste: abstaining from an extramarital or from all. From all sexual intercourse, not having any sexual nature and intention, without unnecessary omentation, simple restraint, right? Unaffected. And so this virgin was supposed to be unaffected by anything outside of the ordinances, right? This was a virgin who was her mind was made up on how she chose to serve. Ultimately, Mashiach. And so again, go back to your question: how do you prove? Is she ultimately chaste towards you? Is her mind so fixated towards you and so fascinated and assimilated towards you that no man, thing, or teaching can shake her?
And I think when you go in there was deep, because it not only does Paul is literally saying he's trying to present, he's trying to teach and give the proper doctrine to the whole body of how Mashiach can prepare her to be a virgin, that when he comes, so he's almost serving as a father to the Mashiach. So when Mashiach comes, the bridegroom comes, we are chaste virgin. We're chaste.
Right.
We're clean. We're in a pure doctrine. The pure doctrine of HaMashiach, right? So you can even find out from your teachers what type of teacher you have, what type of leadership you have. Is he really causing us to be pure? That when the Mashiach comes, Yes. We're pure, we're sanctified to become one with him when he comes.
Right.
If you got a teacher that's not teaching you to be abstain from the filth of this world, and he's compromising those things, that's just another way of saying it. Just like we can look and know what's not a chaste woman, and I said by compliance, right? Yeah. We can know also what's not a sound teacher, right? Based on what? The doctrine he's teaching. Because at the end of when it's all said and done, Israel's supposed to be a bride. Because we got to understand that Christ literally died under Torah. He had to take on that body because he could not remarry us. He could not. He could not remarry us because he put us away. You can't go back to your woman once you gave her the bill of divorcement. Israel was given a bill of divorcement.
Right.
So somebody had to die under that old covenant. And that was Mashiach. So now, when by the time he comes, we're supposed to be a chaste virgin. Untouched.
Undefiled.
Undefiled.
That's the new covenant.
We're supposed to be immovable from any doctrine. No doctrine should shake us. No thought process or any other instruction should shake us. And that's the same thing, again, that shall apply on earth when it comes to marriage. Remember, he said, I write to you no new commandment. And I only speak of the beginning. We're in the beginning. He's telling us all through the book, even in Revelation, he's going to take us back to the beginning. When we were Adamic and righteous and clean people. And so if you're going through the instructions, you see, not only when we were redeemed or fasting people, y'all, but we can now see and look at what our fall was. And our fall was that we came into this thing as individuals. Although the writing said one flesh, but we look at verse chapter 3, was it really one flesh? Did they really establish that? Right? Did they really establish? Because when you read on, Adam then started to do what? Blame his wife. So obviously y'all weren't synced. Obviously y'all were not synced. You didn't tell her enough. You didn't teach her well enough to know that anything outside of your ordinances or law, because that's what men have the power to do, is to command instead of authority. And anything outside of that is breaking your law. And so if the Mashiach says in everything the woman must submit, anything outside of that you tell her to do is a sin. As long as it's in the righteous order of the book. Let's not get confused. I ain't just talking about anything. It has to be in line with the book. Anything outside of that is rebelliousness.
And that's why it's so important that we get in order, because that's the order is what represents that we're chaste by the time he comes, when he returns. Mm-hmm. That the family unit is functioning as a whole.
Right.
That there's order. Under each and everybody's home.
Right.
He's coming back for that one that's totally submitted to his word and his order. Mm-hmm. From the husbands to the wives to the children. And when he has that right number, that's chaste enough. And I believe he has a certain number. I don't know what it is. But he has a specific number. When he sees that we're walking in our perfection and order, that's when we go see the bridegroom.
Mm-hmm. Remember, he said all scripture is given for perfection. Mm-hmm. Perfect the man of the Most High. And so that's our goal, is to be a perfect and chaste bride when he comes back. And so with that same mindset, we have to take on that same process when choosing a wife. That we want a chaste wife. We want an untouched wife in a sense, according to Torah. Right? And even in the sense she has been touched. Now we have to go through the process of tilling. And so when it's time to make her my wife, I know she is now assimilated into me in the perfect fashion of oneness and echad. It all goes back to echad once again. Right? So let's finish 2 Corinthians 11.
But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from simplicity that is in Mashiach.
So, but I fear that lest by any means, as the serpent seduced Eve through his subtlety, through his deceivedness, right? Through his smooth words, right? Flashy, in a sense, right? But remember, the serpent, right? Or we can say Hashatan. What was he originally?
Fallen angel of light.
Fallen angel of light.
Light bearer.
Angel of light, a light bearer. And so what can that say? That we can be deceived by somebody who pertains or looks like a child of light, but inwardly they're a ravening wolf. And so this is why it's imperative that our sisters have protection, provision, and guardianship. Because understand, you are the weaker vessel, and you play off emotion. And Satan knows that very well. Reason he has us listen to music all the time. First people dancing and moving their hips is who? Women. He knows this far too well because he did the same thing with Eve. He beguiled her.
People don't understand the power of music because it's simple fact that the Most High has 75 elders singing all praise and the Lord is one all day. So the Most High is listening to music all day.
Right.
Every day. Every second of the day.
Hallelujah.
And that's why it's important. And brother, it's y'all duty, even that you are in control of what she sees and what she hears. You allow anything outside of that is your fault and your fault only.
Can we go back over verse 3 real quick? Because I think it's a little nugget in there that we could miss if we don't highlight it. He says, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach. See, Eve was, what got her is that Hashatan complicated what was an easy commandment. You see what I'm saying? It was simple. He complicated it. He muddied the waters. And most of all, it's simple. He said that truly, I always say, the more Hashatan, how he wins, all he has to do is get you to doubt. Yah has to prove. Hashatan wins by just simply bringing in doubt. Did he truly say that? What did he really mean when he said that? You see what I mean?
He opposed the controversial
he opposed the controversial, and he turned to simplicity. Well, all she had to say, she knew what the commandment was, but he something that was a simple thing, as just don't eat the fruit. We ain't supposed to touch it. No, he said touch it nor look at it, eat it. He just said don't eat it. What did
that is something. Because think about it, that's the same thing. This is why sisters gotta be careful about who they sisters with. Because all you hear is, do you really gotta listen to that brother? He tell you what? He tell you gotta do what? You gotta cook. What you mean you gotta cook? You gotta do this. And this is why these sister groups, you gotta be very careful on who is administrating these things. Because a lot of them seem it's empowerment, but most of the time it's self-empowerment.
Right.
When women should be, when we're gonna go into, because the woman was supposed to be teaching what? You don't see nowhere in Titus it's talking about self-empowerment. It's talking to tell her to do what? Teach women to do what? To be what?
Wise.
Keepers at home to do what? What'd you say?
Yeah, be subject to a husband teaching children.
And a lot of these sisters groups ain't doing it. They be using Proverbs 31, self-empowerment. Oh, this is a righteous woman. She doing this. She independent. She all that. But don't start at verse 3. Don't start at verse 3.
And what's so slick about it, the serpent did, he robbed Eve of everything she had.
Yeah.
She didn't have to worry about nothing. Provision, protection, everything.
But
and then, no, go ahead, bro.
Piggyback off what you said, how the serpent complex things. As I think about the nature of the Most High, he makes everything simple. Every single thing, from Genesis to Revelation, is very simple. Do this, don't do this. If this happens, do this. Don't do this.
Right.
Do this. Do this. Don't do this.
And lots of times we do things. What I want to say. Sometimes, unfortunately, lots of times we got to learn our lessons. It's like, man, that's why he said don't do that. You know what I mean? And verses where he just says a father shouldn't have to explain everything, right? Because it's by obedience. We can learn by disobedience, and we can learn by way of obedience. Obedience comes with the reward. You see what I mean? It's like, son, man, you know what? You've been obedient. Just hold out. You know what I'm saying? You hold out. I'm not going to explain to you why I'm telling you not to do it. Just do what I told you to do. You see what I'm saying? And then he gets the reward, and then nine times out of 10, the son will look back and say, man, you know what? If I would have did that, Abba, I see, you know what I'm saying? I see what would have happened. Right. And he said, now you got it, son. That's why I wanted, but I needed you to just learn. Then there's other instances where the majority of time, the majority of us are going through the things we're learning through the things which we suffer. You see what I mean? And so we got to learn the hard lessons, the hard knock.
Okay. And so this is what you see. And so women have to understand, this man has redeemed you. And it is your sole purpose to multiply him. Because that was the first commandment given to man. To do what? Everybody said. To be what?
Fruitful and multiply.
Women have a very important role. A very important role. I don't want no sister in here to think they belittle or you just nothing. You are very, very important. But that very, very importancy and power comes from your level of submission. You understand that? Level of submission. Because you're going to be feeding something. You're going to be building something. And if you're not building it through righteousness, you're building Satan's kingdom. This is straight up. Men were naturally supposed to be providers, protectors, and provisioners over his garden, his house. And if you don't allow that man to do that, you are being a worker of iniquity. 1 Timothy 2, let's start at 13. First Timothy 2, verse. Yeah.
For Adam was formed, then Eve.
Right, so first Adam was formed, then Eve. Come on.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
Was in what?
Transgression.
Come on.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing.
And what?
Childbearing.
It is your duty to understand that this man has redeemed you. And so just like Yah has put an investment in man, right? He's put an investment in man. And for anybody who has owned a business or ran a business, you want a return on your investment.
Every time.
And so what is the reward a man should get for redeeming you, women? A child like himself. That is your reward. You should be able to give this man back because he has redeemed you and helped you retain a portion of salvation. You should be able to give this man back his investment, which is his seed. Why? Because it was his commandment to multiply himself on earth. It was his commandment given to the Creator to multiply himself on earth. And anything contrary to that is not of the Most High. So we have to go through this thorough process and tilling, and so that when it's time to bring forth seed, it's not corruptible, but it's what? Incorruptible. Everybody has to be proven and tilled, and so that we can bring the Mashiach's kingdom in the right format, man.
What's the redemptive value in having children? I think we get by that. It says saved in childbearing. A Christian would say, most Christians overlook that. Because they say, I'm saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. Especially sisters in the Christian church. Like, I don't, they don't even see the causality. What produces a redemptive value by a woman having a child for a man. And they don't even see the beauty in that. And this is why it's so important that women begin to take what their wombs a lot more serious.
Yes.
Your wombs are vital. Your wombs is the most important thing you have. Mm-hmm. And Hashatan has bluffed you into believing that your womb is something that you can play with. Mm-hmm. And it's in your womb itself has a redemptive value of humanity. And Hashatan understands that through your womb, the seed of the righteous comes. But if you don't have a man with a righteous mind, and his seed is going in your womb, huh? And you need a man that knows the value of your womb. And that your womb is sacred.
He got to learn how to till.
He got to know how to till the ground. He got to know how to nurture this womb first.
And this is why, sisters, this is important. Y'all have to find out who is this man's elder or father. Because whatever idea or way of life that his father is living, most likely he's going to live. If his father has had a past of beating women, he may have a tendency or urge to do the same. Y'all following me? So this is why, again, we was talking to the lovely couple about even what the Ashanti do. They go through the lineage to see the history of this woman or man's past. It can determine or at least say, okay, we see that they have this type of trauma in their past. This is what we need to look for. Or to say, yeah, although they look pretty and good, that ain't it.
And I'm going to level it up, sisters. I'm going to give you guys a jewel. I'm going to give you sisters a jewel. It's these words that we read is just they're symbols. But then I always say this. But underneath all these words, there's principles. And you sisters should really look for on the next level, is this man living these principles? Is he living these principles? Has he, and we can all rightly divide the word and we know all of those things. That's one level, that's layer one. So brothers know how to spit precepts, they know how to kick it. But then what the sisters should really look for is this a part of his natural life? Right. Has this become a part, has this thing become cultivated in his heart and his mind to where I know he's not easily angry, or if he angers, he sins not. He's not going to be emotional and be like, boom, I'm out now, I'm about to go hook up with another woman. You see what I'm saying? Is he a little boy? Does he respond like a little boy, or is he a man? Does he have temper tantrums? Mm-hmm. Right?
Titus 2.
Right, or does when things get hard, how does he respond? Mm-hmm. You're not going to learn these things unless you, through your patience, possess ye your souls. Mm-hmm. So even in your patience, you have to be schooled. Be like, yo, brother, why you going through the courting process? And you got elders that's vetting the right man for you, get one first of all. Get elders and mothers, sisters that can literally help you get to a place in your mind where you can need to be, but you have to guard your wounds. Yeah. You do not want to bring forth no monsters.
Ungodly children.
Ungodly children. You do not want to do it. And so now we're having these hard conversations because it's time. And I believe it's getting so serious that Israel has got to get, this is going to have to become a part of our life. Like really.
It's about time to put it in our hearts. And I said Titus 2:1 because sisters, that should be your blueprint, or at least check off list and say, is he temperate? Is he sober? Is he patient? This should be your check off list. And really, whoever your elder is or father should know that before you do.
I was going to say, can I grab that Titus 2?
Yeah, please.
But as for you, teach what is consistent with sound doctrine. Tell the older men to be temperate, serious, prudent, and sound in faith, in love, and in endurance. Likewise, tell the older women to be reverent in behavior, not to be slanderers or slaves to drink. They are to teach what is good, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be self-controlled, chaste, good managers of the household, kind, being submissive to their husbands, so that the word of Yah Elohim may not be discredited.
Right. See, Christians read that and they won't see any Torah in that. That ain't nothing. You hear nothing, but you hear teaching. When you hear teaching, you're hearing instructions. You're hearing Torah. It's being repeated. And we don't realize these older women need to teach these younger women. We think just by osmosis and by us men go into puberty. You know what I'm saying? That means all we did is hit another biological threshold. But you need a man that's going to help you get through that next step, that's going to guide your mind to navigate you through, okay, you're going through a biological change now. Now we got to make sure your mind is matured with that biological change.
Right.
Right? And then it's even with the sisters. They're going to have to make sure they have other women that only not teach them the natural ways of how to deal with their natural biochemical changes. But now, okay, you're becoming a woman now. Now you need to learn. You're a woman now. Now I'm going to have to level up with you. You're going to get to the age where you're at the age now where it's almost time for you to have a husband. You see? But we don't have those type of institutions within Israel. You see what I mean? It's just like, okay, you the woman, you sit at home and you supposed to submit to me.
And the problem with Israel, we have came into this and jumped straight into nationhood. Forgetting that before a nation, we were a family. We literally skipped these levels and processes. This is truly the problem in Israel. We truly skipped the process of becoming a nation. The Jewish people, what they do now, they started to build up, and now they have different places of families and tribes set up because they took the time to establish whatever you want to call it. But you know what I'm saying? They established it. But they established it. And so we cannot keep saying we are a nation. We are not a nation. We got 3 different governments in Israel. How is that? We got 3 different levels of office. And they're not even together.
But wasn't it like that actually in the Book of Kings, in the North and Southern Kingdom?
But look what happened. Now remember this. Before that happened, what was going on in the kingdom? When was the last time we was the most at peace?
Since Solomon, I guess.
Solomon. Everybody was at peace. From the king down to the servants. We have not been in that state of mind since. But we want to jump. We want to sit here and talk about Solomon. We want to sit here and talk about Dawid. But we don't want to do what Dawid did before he was really Dawid.
And then, to be honest with Dawid, he had to put in the work.
What was he doing first?
He literally had to rid all the nations out of the land.
Yeah.
Right? He had to literally purge Israel.
Just like Joshua.
From all the foreign influences. And then because he had to do all the hard work, his hands were so bloody, he said, you can't build my temple. You see what I'm saying? But he inherited a kingdom of peace. Solomon actually entered into his father's rest.
And that is
into his inheritance.
And that is a reflection of the king, our father, to our king, Mashiach. The father tilled and Mashiach watered.
If I may forgive me, I don't know what you're saying, but even when you talk about with Shlomo, right, and even a woman's role, right, so we just read in Titus 2 where it talks about the older women teaching the younger women so that the younger women could obey their husbands and teach the children, right? So even in Shlomo's writings, he talks about listening to his mother. He talks about listening to his father too. But he talked about listening to his mother and the things that his mother taught him, the game that his mama gave him, right?
And
so
exactly.
A woman got a role of teaching our sons too.
Exactly, and that's why I said we often read Proverbs 31 and skip over verse 3. Because who was teaching and who was being taught? Let's just go to it real quick. Proverbs 31. We often miss this so much. It's in every empowerment, a women's empowerment group. But they never start at let's just start at verse 1. This is what they missed. The first verse. Who want to read?
I got you.
Go ahead.
The words of King Lemuel, the prophecies of that his mother taught him.
Now who taught him?
His mother.
His who?
His mother.
His mother taught him. Titus 2. His mother taught him. Right? Come on. What did she say?
What my son and what the son of my womb and what the son of my vows.
My vows? Who did she make a vow to? Her husband. The son of my vows. The one I gave back to my husband for redeeming me. What did she say to him?
Give not thy strength unto a woman.
How do we skip this?
How does a woman tell a woman not? How does a woman tell a son don't give your power to a woman?
a woman teaching her son not to give power to somebody like herself.
Okay.
Woo. That's what you call true power and understanding. She understood her role, therefore she taught her son so he would not be beguiled by a woman who would be beguiled by the serpent. This is a woman teaching. Most women often skip over this part and jump straight down to 10.
And what is she doing? She's establishing, she's making her son is rooted in patriarchy.
Mm-hmm. Straight down.
Right. She understands that this is the sustaining order of our nation and our tribe. You as a king. Go ahead.
And so, women with children, this is what you need to be feeding your children. This is the spiritual baby food. Don't give your strength to a woman. Be like your father. Follow his footsteps and even greater. That's what you should be feeding him constantly, day in and day out. Because that is the son from your vows. Who did you make a vow to? Not the Most High. Not directly. You made a vow to your husband to the Most High. That's how it should be. And if anything outside of that, again, is darkness. And so again, we often skip over this because now it says, nor thy ways that which destroy kings. What was the two things that destroy Israel? Mm-hmm. Women and what? Huh?
Idolatry.
No. No. Women and strong drink. No, dead serious.
Yeah, it did. They was drinking that.
When you go into reading about Judah, how did he give his signet up? What happened? He got drunk. He got drunk and gave up everything. Just like most men get spiritual. Let me buy you a car, baby. Let me buy you a house. She's like, yeah, come on. Yeah.
I give you sun, the moon.
Sun, moon, and star. Deliver right at your feet. Right? That's what happens. And so then this is how we get destroyed. Judah gave her Tamar everything. Didn't even realize because he was so drunk.
Then later.
And then committed a sin. Because originally she was whose wife? His son's. Huh? Nah, we ain't gonna go there yet. We gonna go. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we might go there.
Bring it up.
Let's go to.
That's in Genesis.
Yeah, this is Genesis. We might as well go ahead too. Genesis.
It's in between 40 or 50.
It's 38, right?
Yeah.
Let's start. Let's start at 10. I ain't planning on going there, but let's start at 10. Come on. Genesis 38, 10.
Alright, I got it.
Come on.
And then thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remained a widow at the father's house till Salah, my son, be growing.
And so after Judah's son had got slain, he commanded her because because that was his son's wife and she did not bear him children. At that moment, he became her headship and elder, pretty much, her covering. So he told her, pretty much, save yourself because now I'm gonna give you my next son. Come on.
Remain a widow at thy father's. Remain a widow at thy father's house till Salah, my son, be growing. For he said, least peradventure he died, also as his brothers did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house.
Right. So where did she go back to? Her hedge of protection. You see what I'm saying? So we have women who go through situations. It's just life right now. Women go through situations, but the point is, if you're in that situation and Yah has ultimately blessed you to come out, you need to make sure you get under a covering, and I'm not talking about a husband, because you're gonna go through some trauma for whatever situation you was in. Get under an elder who can help till you out of that situation and help mold you back into where you originally was before dealing with that. So now when it is time to get you another husband, boom. But oftentimes we try to get another spouse for comfort. We try to get a spouse for distraction. And we listen.
Get a spouse for that emptiness that you feel.
Right? And then once we come out of that time of depression, right? That time of not figuring out, okay, I'm done with that last situation. Now you even realize you're in a whole other situation you're about to get into. And this is a repetitive cycle of harlotry. Because now you're going to get out that situation and go try to find the next man. You get out that situation, you're going to try to get the next man. Well, really, you should be withholding yourself and just getting under some eldership, and so they can provide provision of what you should do next. It's always been like that. Somebody has always guided somebody on where they should go. Wisdom and wise counsel. We never made decisions on our own. That is what America teaches us. That make decisions on your own. You should be an individual. You should make up your mind what you should do. This is the same message that was delivered to Eve. Now it's being fed into even men. Cause like I said, most brothers don't bring the woman to his father. And then finally when he does, she's pregnant. He trying to figure out how to get out of the situation.
It's not funny, but it's true.
It's true. It's the same repetitive situations. And so we have to be able to break this cycle. Let's keep going.
And in the process of time, the daughter of Shaul, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up to his sheep shears to Timnah. He and his friend Sarah, the Adullamite, and it was told Lamar, saying, "Behold, thy father-in-law go up to Timnah to share his sheep." And she put in her widow's garments from her and covered her with a veil.
She put her widow's garments off from her, right? Yeah. And what?
And wrapped herself.
And so she just totally just went from her uncovered. Why? Because again, at this time we were able to identify who was a widow, who was married, who was single. Why? Because we grew up in this type of culture. And so if she ain't got this stuff on, you're not going to be able to identify that she ain't going through no mourning, or she pretty much not covered. Right? Come on.
He sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnah.
Right.
For she saw that Salah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife.
Right.
When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face.
Right.
And he turned into her by the way, and he said, "Go to, I pray thee, let me come into thee."
So he's so drunk, like brothers get. He didn't thought she was a harlot. I mean, just get it in, get it out, not realizing because he's so drunk who this is. He's not able to have a sober mind to identify who this person is. Right? Come on.
I pray thee, let me come into thee.
Right.
For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, "What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come into me?"
I mean, this is what happened. Brother is not sober-minded.
Right.
Got seducing spirits on him. The very question is, what you gonna give me? Ain't that what they ask when they come to the car? What you got? What you gonna give me? How much you paying? Right? Come on.
And he said, "I will send thee a kid from thy flock." And she said, "Wilt thou give me a pledge until thou send it?"
So now he got to make a vow to her. Come on.
And he said, "What pledge shall I give thee?" And she said, "What?" And she said, "Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thy hand."
What do these things represent? Thy
Strength.
signet, thy bracelets, and thy staff. What did that represent?
Strength. Is that his authority?
His authority and power. And so when brothers is drunken with the spirit of Babylon, this is what they teach you, to give your woman your authority and power. This is what Shlomo's mother was telling him to prevent him from doing this very thing that his forefather had did. Because the next verse was talking about kings and princes and strong drink, wasn't it? This has been a fall of man. Women and wine. both are very seducing in the wrong hands. Because the man has not been tilled enough to learn how to control his own emotion. And so when you have a lot of brothers who grow up without a father, and then you have a lot of women who grow up without a father, you have nothing but mixed emotions and lack of discernment. And so this is what happened. And because Judah was so drunken, he didn't keep going. Let's keep reading.
And he gave it to her.
And he gave it to her.
Came in unto her, and she conceived by him.
And what happened?
And she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood.
So she went right back to what she covered up again.
Switch clothes.
She didn't switch. She didn't switch up on you. You thought she was something she wasn't. Right? She presented herself very sweet to you, right? Very beautiful, very smart. Body banging. Right? And right when you gave it up, she switched right back to what she was doing. For a time, because you didn't take the time to prove who this was. Come on.
And Judah sent Icaiah by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not.
Right.
Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is thy harlot that was openly by the wayside?
Where that hoe at, man?
Right. Go on, what happened?
And they said, There was no harlot in this place.
So he think he about to redeem this woman, his drunkenness, not knowing who she was. Not knowing he was not supposed to touch her.
Nah, you going to go get his goods. She got all my stuff.
Right.
I didn't get this woman everything.
I'm trying to fool her. I'm trying to fool her.
She got that.
Come on, let's keep reading.
And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was not no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it unto her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about three months after that, it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt.
So now he trying to get rid of the evidence. He like, man, I'm trying to run. I'm trying to run away from this act right there. Why? Because he had a renowned name, right?
3 months though.
Had a renowned name, and so brothers, you better be careful who you lay your seed in. You better be very careful.
And that story's kind of twofold, because all she wanted was a child. That was the most important thing to women back then. She wanted a child.
And she was a widow.
And she was a widow. She was actually not unlawful in the sense where she lied and she deceived them. But her expecting her, because women closely associated their inheritance and their covering with two things. Because remember, by what? Childbearing, the woman is what? Redeemed.
Well, you got to think about it too. What was the law? If a brother did not bear a seed through this woman, who was supposed to do it? Not the father. Leviticus 18. The father was not supposed to see the nakedness of his daughter-in-law.
Period.
That's law. And so I would say she broke the law.
She broke the law. But her intention, you know what I'm saying? That's what she was just
I will say his brothers broke the law first though. So this what happened when, you know what I mean? Yeah, and Judah's sons, forgive me. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So this is the position that she felt she was wrong. This is the position she felt like she had to do.
Right.
Dead wrong, but I mean, just because the brothers was what they're supposed to do.
Well, most of us wouldn't be here.
Right. Yes.
So when she took her widow's garment off, her purpose was sitting into that open place. What was her purpose? Just to be like seen, or she wanted to marry the father? Like, what was her purpose of doing that?
Well, around the area that she was at, it's just like this. You go to Vegas, you know exactly where the whore is at, right? Same thing. She took the garments off, and when a woman, like when he said, he knew it was a harlot that was there, or he thought it was a harlot by where she was sitting at, or where she was placed at.
She had a veil.
And she had a veil, which said she was pretty much open about that action. And so he assumed, because she was right there, because again, Judah had a problem. He had a problem. He had a problem with women and strong drink like Judah got today. And so he thought that was a harlot. And so that's why he didn't wake up and say, who was that woman? He said, where is that harlot? He knew it. He knew that. Well, he just didn't know who it was. And so where she was placed at, that's why she took her garment off, because if she was able to cover herself and perceive herself to be something, she knew that she could at least get a man and lay seed in her. That make sense? Now, let's get to it. Testament of Judah. Testament of Judah 14. So what we're about to read out was one of the testimonies of the 12 patriarchs. It's called the Testament of Judah. You can find a PDF on Google for those who subscribe to it.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. And now, my children, I say...
This is Judah talking to his children. Come on.
And now, my children, I say unto you, be not drunk with wine.
Be not what?
Drunk with wine. For wine turneth the mind away from the truth.
It turned away from the truth.
And inspires the passion of lust.
It inspires what?
The passion of lust.
And we see that today amongst brothers. As soon as they get that strong drink in them, first thing they trying to do is knock off. First thing coming, right? First thing coming. Not even caring. The whole feeling of looks go out the window for brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? But you see, through history, this has been Judah's problem. This has been, so this is why we have to break the generational curses and get back to Torah and law.
Would you say is DNA involved in that too?
Absolutely. Going back to her thing. Absolutely. Just like trauma from slavery. We ain't been enslaved, but we still got the trauma, right? We still don't know who we are. We trying to figure it out. We genetically depressed somehow. But we ain't go through the trade. It's been a trauma thing. Same thing for the brother Jew, like she said. Do you think it could be in DNA for men too? Absolutely. And you're gonna see. We gonna read. We gonna see. We gonna read that whole thing. Come on.
And inspires the passion of lust and leads the eyes into error. For the ruach of fornication have wine as minister to give pleasure to the mind. For these two also take away the mind of man. For if a man drink wine to drunkenness.
To what?
Drunkenness.
And that's what most brothers, they go to the club Friday night, first thing they want to do is get lit. Come on.
It disturbeth the mind with filthy thoughts.
Filthy thoughts, because that is the way Shaitan enters into your brain. Filthiness. Remember, if it's one piece of darkness, the whole thing is dark. Come on.
Leadeth to fornication, leading to fornication, and heareth the body to carnal union.
Right.
And if for the occasion of lust be present,
if the occasion of lust tomorrow be presented, come on,
present, he worketh the sin and is not ashamed.
He wasn't ashamed. He woke up looking for who? A harlot. He knew exactly what he was looking for. He was looking for a harlot. Come on.
Such is an inebriated man by my children, for he who is drunken reverenceth no man.
Don't even care about life.
For lo,
YOLO.
For lo, it made me also to err, so that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, in that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and I wrought a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I had drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of Elohim, and took a woman of Canaan to wife.
Of who?
Canaan.
Canaan.
What's that, Canaan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, now go to 17.
Okay.
Watch this.
Testament of Judah?
Yep.
12 patriarchs?
I'm telling you, if you read the testimonies of the patriarchs, you will be able to see who come from these tribes. You'll be able to see it. Come on.
And now I command you, my children, not to love money.
Not to what?
Love money.
Brothers love money. Come on.
Nor to gaze upon the beauty of women.
Boys love the adultery all the time. Come on.
Because for the sake of money and beauty, I was led astray to Bathsheba, the king Canaan. Okay. For I know that because of these two things,
what happened?
Shall my family race fall into wickedness?
And you see that now. You can start right there. And so I'm gonna cut it right there. I got plenty more, but I want that to marinate with y'all. Got plenty more. I'm gonna let that marinate. And so you see for brothers and sisters, we have to be able to fix what has been broken. We have to be able to unwind and till again before hopping into relationships. And understand, relationship is oneness. You cannot be in oneness with having the same spirits of your past on you. You cannot. If you know you're still there, you know you still got some healing, I'm telling everybody, women and men, do not get in any relationship because you're going to bring forth corruptible seed because you're still corruptible yourself. Okay? Okay? I know that was heavy. We got a lot more to do, but I know it's kind of heavy, but we're going to keep going. So, we're going to open it up for any questions or comments. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I've been on this for a while, but when I was talking about the sister was talking about the genetics, right? There's even proof, I mean, this kind of ties into generational curses too, and then what you said too. Just literally just what you said, where don't get into a relationship because you can bring forth corruptible seed. There's literally also scientific proof that if you could be a big fella, you could be skinny, you could be, not have a bad diet, but if you change your diet, you start exercising and you bear forth seed. You have children during that time, they'll pick up those genetic traits that you had at those times. So that's where, like you were saying earlier, the physical and the spiritual, they gotta meet at some point. Torah, walking in the spirit, everything. All of these things gotta meet at some point. Spiritual cleansing, all of that stuff, they gotta meet at some point. So that just really blessed me because, but I will say this, for all of us in this walk in marriage and all of that, it's we got a harder road ahead of us. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us did not come out of righteous situations. Right. So we're literally fighting against what's natural to us. Our natural DNA and getting away from the curses and walking in those blessings. And this is where we have the opportunity as men to lay down the righteous law to do right. And also for the women to bear forth righteous seed and teach righteous. But we have a hard walk and we got to understand that. And we, just submit to Yah and live by the Spirit. Man. I just want to say all of that was my downfall.
Hallelujah. And it's we all literally are in the tilling process. Mashiach, he was not against Torah. He was just trying to put the spirit back in Torah. But it was still a physical walk. He was just showing how to walk in the law physically in the spirit. As above, so below. As in heaven, so on earth. Everything is a witness to the testimonies in heaven. So what you do on this earth will be either a witness for you or against you in heaven. Understand that. Everything you do.
That does sound like, let's say like you got a bad habit, right? And then you eventually changing that bad habit, like some sort of spirit on you. Will that child pick up the bad habit and the good one that you created, or he only pick up the good one?
I think he could. I mean, think about it. How many of us in here, a child that did something crazy, be like, well, that's that damn. You your daddy's child. We would very easily say that. That's your daddy's child.
Not your mother.
Yeah, you never say mother, it's just your daddy. Your daddy's child. But absolutely. A lot of us do what our father's done, naturally, and don't even realize it.
And then we don't even realize how that plays into the curses. How it says the woman will even hate her children. Because we don't understand how, like, if the woman is bitter towards that man, for whatever reason, she can display that bitterness toward that child. Indifferently. She may not even be aware that that's what's happening. Just like you just reminded me of that man. Right. And that man, I relate with that pain. And so that's why we. Yo. But.
No, are you done? I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, this fly was messing with me. Now I'm like, I'm gonna focus on him because I'm gonna get it.
Don't kill him. This is Shabbat.
No, he got it. Beelzebub is off of here trying to disturb me. Go ahead, sis.
So two things. I just wanted to witness to the article you had pulled up on the DNA. So my mom, by profession, she's a sonographer, and she has to work with geneticists in the office. And so the geneticist and was sharing with all the sonographers to let the people that's coming in pregnant know that spiritually we understand that life is in the blood. Scripture tells us that. So whenever a woman has a child for a man, she shares DNA and blood with the child through the umbilical cord. So, like in my case, after my mother had shared this with me, I had results of my ancestry. And it said that I had a lot of ancestry from a particular place. And that's not in my oral history, but my husband's family is from there. And so I was like, I carried both your kids, so their DNA had transferred. And then I also had their blood types tested, and they were the exact blood type, as well as my husband, we're the same blood type. But that was just proof and evidence that as soon as you bear a child for a man, you exchange the blood.
Yep.
Because you have to give the child life through the umbilical cord. So that is his DNA swapping with the woman, as well as becoming truly a God in one in the woman.
This speaks to the sacredness of that union with man and woman. I think that's probably one of the biggest weapons that Hashatan has managed to do with the ignorance of humanity, is that one fact that when Yah's word said, when a man and woman leave their mother and father house, they cleave and become one flesh, we thinking, oh, that's just some type of symbolic language, that's just some rhetoric, that's just some religious, hoopla. And so, but if we begin to see the ramifications of literally becoming one with each other, and that we literally are sharing DNA on that level, we will begin to see the sacredness and the beauty of marriage, the beauty of becoming one with somebody. But if we start seeing the sanctity and the sacredness of that relationship, hopefully we won't be we got to override our animalistic nature and say, no, I'm going to make sure that when I get in union with a woman or a woman, a man, I'm going to make sure, and that's what the elites do. We don't realize these people that's running the world, they do not let their blood get defiled.
They don't.
They do not.
They don't.
They believe in that. That is a religion to them. They do not mix seed like that.
To the point they'll marry cousins.
They'll marry cousins. You hear me? They literally marry cousins. They do not play that. Some people even believe that's probably why Diana got snuffed out. You know what I'm saying? Because she was married, she was allowing something else to come into that bloodline. So we got to begin to realize that if we look at all of the scripture, we look at Chronicles, when it's giving out the pedigree, and where there are certain Israelites that came into the land and they couldn't, their lineage couldn't be reconciled. They weren't counted. They weren't even counted among Israel, because you got to see that pedigree. That pedigree, that seed line is important.
Yep.
And so we got to even begin to realize, even with our sisters got, and I said this is why it's so important that the sisters begin to see not only the beauty of their wombs, but the importance that they begin to protect their wombs and say, yo, I'm going to make sure when I give myself to a man, this man I'm going to be perpetually bound to him. It's not just this little, I'm going to get this child to just raise up and go. And at 18 and I ain't got no more worries. No, that thing does not, that's a perpetual bloodline going on. Now the beauty that we have with the Most High is that he stands out of time, so he's constantly he's following the seed of our patriarchs. And he's seeing it. And I believe he's somehow maneuvering and he's navigating and logistically bringing it all back together so our bloodline will be pure again.
So I have one more thing I was going to share. I was studying about the women in Mali. When they get married, their weddings are the opposite of American, which I believe Hebraically our weddings were. The man is waiting for the woman to come out versus here, we're like the bride walks out. It's amazing. But then No, yeah, the bridegroom is the one that everybody's waiting to see.
Yeah, we see that in the 10 wise version. The five wise and the 5 unwise.
Yeah.
They literally went out to go meet.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when they come out to be unified with their husband, they walk around him 7 times, drawing lines in the sand. And when they do that, they're pledging, I will protect you, I will be a counselor to you. And they keep pledging this 7 times over till they complete their full circle around him. And the beauty of that made me think of in Exodus chapter 4, when Moshe didn't circumcise the baby, and she had to do it, and she threw, the foreskin at his feet to save his life, because that's how he was coming to take it. So I just thought about like how the woman will protect, if she's assimilated, like you were saying.
But that's if you go into the Hebrew of help me, you know what the word for help me is? Azar, right? And the first thing is to protect. To protect and aid. Right? It says succor. Right? What succor means is to pretty much help build. And so that's make perfect. But you even see in that other nations today, even outside the 12 tribes, keep somewhat Torah. I'm not saying to the extent of 7 lines, but she went to go meet him. The 5 virgins that was wise went to go meet him. Right? Just like it tells you a woman is supposed to be chaste towards the one she served. Just like we're literally seeking and trying to serve who? Mashiach. And so you see it's the same. That's what a help meet is a protector and aid to this man's vision and plan that the Most High is giving. And so this is why, again, like you said, you don't want to aid or protect unrighteous seed. Right? That's good. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
Going back to when he was talking about compliance, and he was saying, who's really my family? My mother, my father. So when I first came into the truth, my mother, she's seen how Tay would tell me to do something. I will, okay. He's ready to go, okay, let's go. Even if we're around our family, and she brought me to the side, like, are you scared of him? Is he hitting you? Like, is something going on? Like, no, it's just, that's just my husband. She's like, but she's still to this day skeptical about our relationship because I respect him. When he's ready to do something, I do it, even around my family. But that goes to say, like, who really is my family? Because obviously you don't see the order. You don't know the order, so you don't understand what I'm doing.
But even in that, right, you in the presence of your mother, she's seeing righteousness. And so although she's fighting herself ultimately, because she knows what you're doing is right, but because she has not grown up in that type of mentality, it's hard for her to grasp it and take hold of it. And so even in that, that's beautiful. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I just want to piggyback off of that. When I first came into the truth, I was telling my mom about, the order, the way that the household is supposed to be. So, the man being the head as long as he's following the Most High, and then the wife, and then the children. And the first and only thing that came out of her mouth was, that's not how I raised you. And I said, well, that's how the Bible says it's supposed to be done. So, she's just she looked at me like, I'm being controlled, I don't have a mind of my own and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's really not her decision on what I do. As long as I'm following the Most High, that's all that matters.
Hallelujah.
So.
All praise. Anybody else, brothers? What y'all think? What you talking about?
I got a lot today, man. I ain't got no questions.
Any comments? Any comments, questions? You good?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, being that you're not supposed to follow your husband and what he tells you to do, if your husband is going off, I don't know if I read a scripture about that before, what you do as a wife if your husband is going off?
I think she made a really good point of counsel, right? This is where women have to use their natural instincts. What is that? To nurture. So you have to be able to nurture, that man. And so what women have to realize is just like y'all have been battered and abused and went through stuff, brothers have too. And so as long as a brother is trying, you have to come with him with compassion and understanding it. And see that's some of the downfall of some of our sisters in this walk. They don't realize that we are also trying to reconstruct ourselves. And so again, that goes with because we jump into situations and we expect boom, boom, boom. But we're trying to do it in the way of the Most High. And sometimes women may bring some of the world into that relationship just to see a quick result. And so for that, you just got to stick to the word. Show them the word. Hey, baby, this is what I see in the word. I think, I can see, because you're supposed to help multiply him and double his life. And so sometimes, in a lot of situations, women going to work a little harder than men so that he can see the value sometimes in himself. Right?
If you think the woman was already with the man, then that's understandable. But how you even get with a man like that in the first place? That's your fault.
I mean, like, more so, like, he is a righteous brother, you know that. But
Right.
you fall into, like, a sunken place, like...
Are you talking about y'all already together, right?
Yeah,
if y'all already together, you know what I'm saying? Again, that will go to back what I said. You just got to be able to nurture and have that compassion for them. Most sisters be like, you supposed to be doing this and this and that. You going off and all that. Now they trying to street preach him.
Not understanding that.
And so what do the brother do? He go in straight defense mode, and he get on his hurricane stuff, man. And then now it gets flipped, and like he's the one tripping. Again, I always say this: it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you say, but how you say it. It's a difference between like, hey, bro, get your shit together, man. Rather than like, hey, baby, I know you working hard. You know what I'm saying? You doing good. I just want to show you that I think, you got to remember, because it ain't him. It's a we thing. We should probably start doing this. So a lot of times we like to present it as if even for brothers, you present it to the woman like it's you. No, it's we. We have to get this together. We have to grow and get right. Ain't no more you or I. That stuff was out the door once we became one flesh. Because if it's any you or I or two minds, you're a James 1:8. You're a double-minded person, which means this relationship is unstable.
I think the problem too is like the women. We've been so like mentally, when we see something wrong and it's like, okay, like you said, we're supposed to protect, we're supposed to nurture. You know what I'm saying? So when we see something is like going off or something is going left, basically, we're going in like a fight or flight thing. And sometimes we feel like we can't depend on our man because we feel he's the one going off. You know what I'm saying? But we need to be like, I don't understand how you're supposed to approach that to a woman. Like, okay, I'm trying to talk about it. Like sometimes our brothers come too harsh with us, and it's like we block it out. Like I don't know who we've been talking to. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we've been conditioned. So it's like when it's time for a brother to correct us, or when we feel like they need correction, how are we supposed to approach it? We need to first respect them, show them the good that they're doing, and then bring out, and then humbly though. We don't know how to be humble. That's another thing. We don't know how to be humble.
Because you haven't been taught that.
Right.
And so this is why we have to, before getting in a relationship, this is the key to everything. Whether you're in a relationship now or not, you have to get righteous eldership that has proven fruit, that has been successful in marriage. I ain't talking about no 5, no 10 years. I'm talking about at least 20 plus years of successful marriage. Because how else would you know? Most people have not seen successful marriage. Up until a certain point, I have not seen that. Real talk. And so we do this thing of trying to catch up and figure out on our own, not actually looking at an example of what it's supposed to be like. And so we read these scriptures really in a fictionary way, not realizing these is real people that did this. And so now we have to find who are the real people that's living like these people.
Every time those elders, those relationships that are 20 plus years in, every time you ask them, because I used to work at a retirement home, I'll ask them, like, how did y'all last this long? Sacrifice. This. Sacrifice. That's all I always
That's
hear.
all it
Sacrifice.
is.
On both ends, though.
And we supposed remember the husband is supposed to be a living sacrifice for his wife. Facts. You can't. No, we good. It's open conversation. And so, Mashiach was a living sacrifice for his wife, the church. And so, men, if you cannot boldly say, I would die for this woman right now, then most likely that ain't the woman for you.
That's deep.
Same thing for this woman. If you cannot say right now, I would die for this man, then y'all not supposed to be together.
But you're not. How would you figure that out? If you just met this person, I just met you. It's a couple months in. Oh, I'm dying for you, but I don't even know you.
But who? Now going back to the beginning, who's supposed to prove that for you? It all goes back to eldership and fatherhood. Once we get under those type of ordinances, it ain't gonna be no. Once we get back into Torah and it's not in natural way, ain't gonna be no what ifs, because the facts show that when they did it, it was successful. My mom will say the stat today. Did anybody know the percentage rate of successful marriages that were arranged?
Was it over 80?
Huh?
It was over 80%?
I'm talking about in the world. No, it ain't over 80. 65%.
That's good.
Do you know the percentage of divorce rate from those arranged marriages? 6%. What is the rate? What is the percentage rate in the black community of what's the divorce rate?
80, I think.
75. All of those were never proven, nor tilled the correct way, nor was any man or woman given to one another. And so you see the result of when we arrange marriages versus when we chose for ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We got to be honest. We don't know ourselves. Only person who's going to know you is the person who has molded you.
I just wanted to give a precept for what we were talking about earlier. Which I was talking about. She had asked a question about what does that look like, and you was talking about you was kind of giving it what it was. So this is important. It's 1 Peter 2 and 25 through 3 and 1. For you were going astray like sheep, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls. That's talking about Mashiach and what he did for us. So it says, wives, in the same way, accept the authority of your husbands, so that even if some of them do not obey the word, because I think that's what the sister was asking about. Even if they do not obey the word, they may be won over without a word by their wives' conduct. Without a word by their wives' conduct. When they see the purity and reverence of your lives.
What scriptures that are?
That's first. The main part was 1 Peter 3 and 1.
And I hope that even answers the question for sisters. Like, you don't have to pull a rod out on your wife or your husband and talk back to him. Your presence of righteousness is going to compel him. Any righteous man is going to hit his heart and say, okay, she getting her stuff together.
So they may without the word.
You know what I'm saying? They getting their stuff together. I have no choice because she's following me. Because I know for a fact, if I don't get myself together and she's following me in totality, her blood is on my hands.
What version you read?
I'm reading from the NLT.
Yeah, the King James says something a little different. It says 1 Peter chapter 3, first verse, it says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, that they may also without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
You know what that? I'm sorry. You know what that part of conversation is?
I was just going to explain it. You know, the conversation meaning she has to always be benevolent. Kind word always draws away wrath. Don't participate in the act that he's acting. If he's acting in the way that's not of the Most High, you have to act in the Most High. That means you have to be silent, you have to be in submission. Your conversation has to be benevolent. I mean, and as far as it always goes back to prayer. You got to use your prayer. I always do that. You know, binding down every thought into the obedience of the Mashiach, tearing down those imaginations. You know, if he doesn't know, you can go a long way by just, you know, following Sharon. You know, how she was. She was like, I don't, you know, you tell a man, call a man Lord, he gonna ask you, why you calling me that? Why you calling me that?
Right.
Well, because this say so. Read that.
And that's what said.
You know what I'm saying?
She was referencing her husband so much. She like, my Adoni. Adoni, my Lord, my Lord.
The conversation.
Is it Adonai or Adoni?
Adon means Lord. When you put the E on the end, it's possessive. It means mine. So she was saying, she was talking to, I believe, the angels. Talking about Adoni. And see, you'll, even in this culture, you'll say how a woman should be representing her husband as her Lord. And then twist their face up like, what you mean, my Lord? That don't mean like you're not saying he's the Mashiach himself. They're just saying he's your higher power and covering. If he is your husband, he deserves that reference. It shouldn't be no hesitation or skip of your heart that you need to call him that. That's what he is. He got enough respect for you to call him his Isha. He chose you to help him. You didn't choose him. You understand? And so we have to get away, and again, that goes back to trauma. Trauma. Of just saying a man has that authority over a woman because a woman has been traumatized to believe that he shouldn't have that. It's like you pinching it to say it. What it should be, you should take, what's the word the brother used? You should have alacrity. Everybody know what alacrity means? To do something with cheerfulness. You should have cheerfulness in saying, this is my Lord, my power, the one who saved and redeemed me, the one who chose me to help double his kingdom. That's the power you got in submission. Because guess what? Did Nasarah have the power to get rid of Hagar? Why? Because she earned that power from her husband because she did all that he told her to do.
And the Most High backed her up.
Backed her up. The Most High shows favor to the woman who submits. And it's all through Scripture. Whether you want to talk about polygamy or monogamy, whatever the case is, he always favored the woman who was most submissive. When it came to Mashiach, and the two women running around the house, who did he reference more? The one who was at his feet or the one still busy cleaning the house?
Thinking that she was serving.
Thinking that she was serving because she was busy. She's sitting there at his feet. Just, Adoni, sitting there. You know what I'm saying? No, and it's not funny, but she wanted to serve this man so much that she stepped at his feet, washed his feet.
And she wasn't even married to him. Ain't no sister finna do that today.
No. But she knew who he was, though.
You
know what I'm saying? She knew who he was.
You know what I'm saying? Hannah. I love telling the story of Hannah. She was barren, but she stayed faithful. She stayed so faithful that not only did she have a child, but she multiplied those children. There is power in submission, man. Esther too. Esther. We ain't never had no queen in Israel, but the Most High blessed her to do that. Because what? She understood the ordinances of following her cousin, who was her covering. Y'all following me? And so I'm ending right there, man. I'm ending right there. Hallelujah, man. Any more questions? We got a lot more to go. We probably got maybe 2 more parts, man. But all praise to the Most High Yah, man. All praise. So with that, we say Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, before everybody get up. Everybody get up. Go ahead.